appreciate it. It is the 9 till noon show. Roy back with you, as you mentioned, tomorrow morning, bright and early. But it is time at 9 o'clock for a news update. And we go over to Michaela Clark. Come on, Michaela.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The Donegal Fire Service and local community has been praised for bringing a gorse fire under control in West Donegal. The fire broke out in the Crawley area yesterday morning, close to a number of properties. Locals were first on the scene and the blaze was eventually brought under control with the assistance of the fire service. Councillor Micheál Colmcgill-Osberg says yesterday's events is another example of how a proposed task force to tackle gorse fires would be beneficial.
It was clear from the local community, and especially after the big fires over 3 years ago, that they wanted something like this. They wanted to engage with the council, they wanted to engage with the fire service and the trade union to try to put something in place that would stop the spread of the gorse fires. Because bear in mind, it's the local community who are the first there, and it is their homes, their neighbours and their families' property that they're protecting.
The Environment Minister will face calls to scrap his controversial ban on the sale of turf when he meets coalition colleagues later. It's due to take effect in September and has caused anger among rural backbenchers in Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil. Eamon Ryan says the ban will only target retail outlets and has indicated that communities of under 500 people will be exempt. But Fine Gael TD Michael Ring says that's not good enough.
It's very simple. This is a way of life in rural Ireland. People depend on their turf. People depend on the cutting of turf. And there's people making a living out of cutting turf. And I'm totally opposed to the cutting of it. And I'll be telling that to Eamon Ryan. And any confusion that's been caused, it's been caused by Minister Eamon Ryan. And I'll be telling them that.
The Killybegs Fishermen's Organisation is urging the European Commission to act immediately on the presence of Russian trawlers in the waters of the Faroe Islands. It's emerged a fleet of Russian freezer trawlers is operating in a zone shared between the UK and the Faroe Islands. KFO Chief Executive Sean O'Donoghue says the Faroes are issuing blue whiting licences to Russian boats so that they can get access to Russian Arctic cod quota. Mr O'Donoghue says while the Faroes have some autonomy on fisheries, they form part of the Kingdom of Denmark and do not have independence on critical issues such as military strategy. On this basis, he believes the EU should become involved.
The Faroes comes under the Danish crown in terms of military and foreign policy, not in terms of fisheries. There really needs to be an upping here by the EU and the Danish government that this is totally unacceptable and is aiding and abetting Russia's war in the Ukraine.
Weather now largely dry this morning with good sunny spells. Scattered showers will develop this afternoon with highest temperatures today of 12 to 14 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
COVID-19 can still cause serious illness, especially in people at higher risk. We need to keep protecting each other. So stay home if you have symptoms. Wear a mask in healthcare settings, public transport, and busy places. Let fresh air in if you're meeting indoors. Keep hands clean. And get a COVID-19 vaccine and booster. Let's keep looking out for each other. From the HSE, for us all.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning. 4 minutes past 9 this Tuesday, the 26th of April, and you're very welcome along to another edition of the 9 till noon show. Thanks for Donald for sitting in for me yesterday, and it was we were down in Dublin for Ed Sheeran, excellent show on Sunday, and appreciate Donald letting me have yesterday off, but we're back now, and that's it. My annual leave finished for a while. The lines are open for you, by the way. 086 60 25,000. WhatsApps and texts to that number, 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. Emails more than welcome into the studio, of course. Comments at highlandradio.com. And a very good morning if you are joining us to watch the programme. It's available for all of you. Go on to our website, highlandradio.com. Click in, watch live there. You can check out what's happening, see our guests, and you can go straight to our socials, YouTube, and Facebook as well. Right, let's look at the newspapers. We've lots to get through, and it's an interesting show. We've got local issues. We're going to be talking about Twitter. We've got the Community Garda information and so much more besides. So you'll want to stick around, I hope. The Derry Journal this morning tells us that the chairperson of Buncrana Tidy Towns Committee has suggested that monies could be earmarked from local property tax to pay for refuse collection in a bid to reduce fly tipping. You would have hoped that was what... when they were introduced, that's what they would have been for, wouldn't they? Local property tax, local services. It's not the case. William McKinney was speaking to the Journal after Buncrana Tidy Towns volunteers gathered 80 bags of rubbish on Saturday on the main road from Burnfoot to Buncrana during the Antashka National Spring Clean 22. Lots of people dumping it. It doesn't magic there. People are still throwing out of their cars or whatever while they're walking. It's a disgrace, isn't it? The Irish Times tells us that builders will be able to use extended hours of operation in order to ramp up housing production under plans being considered by the government in light of increasing numbers of Ukrainian refugees and the housing crisis. The measure is among plans to be discussed as part of an update for Cabinet from Minister for Housing Darragh O'Brien. However, it's unlikely the fully signed off at today's meeting. It won't be, sources indicated. Currently, local authorities restrict building operations in some areas outside of specific times, which can also be limited by conditions of planning permission. With extreme pressure coming on the state systems to receive refugees from Ukraine, the Cabinet will today consider two memos, one to the housing situation and a separate update brought by Taoiseach Micheál Martin. Mr O'Brien will tell Cabinet some 100 buildings of more than 500 scheduled in an initial trawl of potential venues indicate they could be converted into use as housing for refugees within 3 months. So, what's happening here is, and it's interesting to hear the government talking about the amount of vacant public-owned properties that there is. Why weren't we utilising this before to house the homeless people? What was going on? I mean, that's a serious issue, one that needs exploring. Who was making decisions to say that, yes, there's a homeless problem in Ireland? There already was. And that's not just in the cities. That's in Donegal as well. There are people who don't have a permanent home or anything close to it. They're staying with relatives or couch surfing. In some cases, rare as it is, thankfully, having to sleep rough. But there is a problem, a housing problem. There has been a housing problem. And clearly, and we've all known about it. Do you know how many times on this programme people have said, well, there's a house next to me and it's lying empty and people moved out and, it's there for a year and the council hasn't moved anyone in, or, perfectly good houses, people moving out, and then you see bathrooms and sinks and kitchens being thrown into a skip out the front of the house and then it lies empty for ages. We knew it was there, but they're admitting now that you've got all of this vacant housing. Why was the housing crisis here not important enough for that to be utilised, for that to be made available for people? We can do it now, and there's still enough of it to help the Ukrainians, but also to ensure that those who didn't have a home before the war broke out to have a home. And if the will is there, once again, it's been proven there is a way. I mean, these are the type of things that should change politics in this country forever. And I'm not on about necessarily calling for a change of government. That's not for me to do. But we can obviously, when we want to, when we're motivated to do so, come up with solutions to problems. So what was happening previously that stopped all of this work at a very fast rate to house people? Why wasn't it being done before? Any suggestions? 08660 25,000. I think this is the death knell for Twitter, personally. I am a infrequent user of Twitter, more of a contributor, really, I think, than a consumer of it. I think it's kind of a toxic space. I think people don't come to any agreement on social media anymore. Free speech nowadays on social media means that two sets of people or three or four sets of people with different views can just argue and say anything about each other. I don't believe I don't think this world at the moment is in such a position whereby we have conversation, we have the freedom to express ourselves and then come up with, common ground. We don't, I don't think anyway. But Elon Musk, he's the richest person in the world. He's spending 44 billion euro on Twitter. Now, that's the amount of money that could go into a poverty-stricken country and bring absolutely everybody out of homelessness. And I'm not talking about Ireland here. I'm talking about countries where there's very severe problems. 44 billion, that could remove as I say, homelessness, starvation, put a roof over everybody's head in a big country. That is the type of money we're talking about. It far exceeds how much would be required, for example, to get rid of homelessness in the United States. And you know the size of the United States. He's paying $44 billion for what? You know, just a website where people opine and talk nonsense, because that's what I do on it, and I'm sure everyone else is the same. Well, he's reached an agreement to buy Twitter for $44 billion. He's got so much money. This is a drop in the ocean. The outspoken Tesla CEO, who's also the world's wealthiest person, has said he wanted to buy and privatize Twitter because he thinks it's not living up to its potential as a platform for free speech. Mr. Musk said in a joint statement with Twitter that he wants to make the service better than ever, with new features such as getting rid of automated spam bots and making his algorithms open to the public to increase trust. Free speech is the bedrock of a functioning democracy, and Twitter is the digital town square where matters vital to the future of humanity are debated, he said. The deal was cemented roughly 2 weeks after the billionaire first revealed a 9% stake in the platform. Mr. Musk said last week that he had lined up $46.5 billion in financing to buy Twitter, putting pressure on the board to negotiate a deal. And as I say, we've seen in the past how quickly Friends Reunited, Bebo, so many other sort of kind of social media platforms that when the public are turned off, they turn away from them very, very quickly. And I just wonder if he's going to be flushing that money down the drain. Even the likes of Donald Trump, of course, who set up his own social media platform, he's already said that he doesn't want anything to do with Twitter, that he won't be returning to it. It's a grotesque amount of money, and you just wonder really what he is actually buying. Okay, the Irish Daily Mail, mortgage rate hike fear for thousands. I think it's more than thousands. Interest rates could start rising as early as July, sparking a mortgage repayment shock for hundreds of thousands of homeowners. President of the ECB, that's the European Central Bank, Christine Lagarde, signalled that multiple rate hikes could be coming. She said if the situation continues as predicted, there is a strong likelihood rates will be hiked before the end of the year. How much and how many times will be data dependent, but it's important because even one moderate increase would see the likes of your average mortgage going up by €400 a month. That would be one moderate increase. So it's incredibly significant if we do start seeing interest rates go up. We already know that many people already struggling to feed, clothe and heat between their family and their homes. And as I say, another $400 a year with a modest interest rate increase would just be the backbreaker for so many people. Personal finance expert John Lowe warned last night it'll be a disaster if those rates start going up, but some experts believe the ECB interest rate hike may cool the housing market by making people cautious about their spending. But, you know, the housing market is important, but it is not, everybody, an awful lot of people struggling, taking a financial hit to alleviate the housing market. Anyway, this nonsense over, and when I say nonsense, I'm not taking a stand on this as such, though. I think you might know where I stand on this. But the way this turf ban is being handled, it is almost like a comedy at this point, if it wasn't so serious for many. Green Party leader Eamon Ryan has caved in and will allow the limited sale of turf in small rural communities. Right? How do you define a small rural community? Well, it was proposed that there would be a complete ban on the sale of turf commercially from September before the proposed U-turn. The plan led to a furious backlash on the backbenches, with mainly rural TDs from government parties, Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil, up in arms. Rural Independents and Sinn Féin were also calling for the ban to be binned. But now the Energy Minister is understood to be proposing to make an exception to the turf ban to allow sales to continue in towns or villages of under 500 people. Now, what does that mean? How do you define a village as such? I mean, a rural area? What makes it a village? There's no post offices in many of these villages anymore. But anyway, maybe Ordnance Survey can sort this out. The regulations are still in draft form with legislation in the Department of the Environment. In the meantime, it's near the top of the political agenda again this week. Last night, the three government party leaders, Micheál Martin, Leo Varadkar and Eamon Ryan, met to discuss this issue. Eamon Ryan's meeting with backbenchers of Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael today. But it's an absolute mess. Now, the government are to make the 80-year-old patient and day case hospital charge for children under the age of 16 no more. It's to be axed. Health Minister Stephen Donnelly will brief ministerial colleagues on the plan later today as he looks to drive down the cost of healthcare. The minister wants to see the €80 payment that people pay for a day case visit or for staying overnight in a hospital scrapped for children under the age of 16. At the moment, these fees run at €80 a visit, up to a maximum of $800 a year for any one patient. These could be abolished for children under the age of 16 as part of the new plan. So anything that saves parents' financial woes at a very difficult time, I suppose, would be good. And finally, in the Irish Daily Mirror, more than 4 in 10 households are struggling to afford their home energy needs, a survey revealed today. So that's almost half. This is very significant. 4/5 of people here plan to slash their spending habits on routine expenses such as transport, insurance, shopping and fuel consumption. That's 80% of us. Thousands of Irish households are under mounting pressure as overall inflation reaches a 21-year peak of 6.7% on day-to-day living costs. Now, I'm not by any stretch a financial expert, but when the public stops spending, you know, when they're going, right, we can't really afford to do this, when they're not going to restaurants, when they're not going out for a drink, when they're not buying a new car, whatever it might be, that is like the shoots of it feels like potentially the shoots of a recession. But look, the experts are still predicting growth in the economy, but the warning signs for me anyway, as much as I know, which is very little, seem to be there. Right, okay. Any comments on anything we've raised there, or your own issues, please, to 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 07491 25,000.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Is your bank leaving town? Letterkenny Credit Union is now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features with no appointment necessary to open your account.
You can do pretty much anything in just a few taps. Buy a car, book a holiday, and now you can even apply for a permanent TSB digital current account in-app in minutes. It's quick, it's mobile, it's the start of making your everyday banking easier. Now that's permanent support. Application in your sole name for over 18 personal customers and residents of the Republic of Ireland only. Qualifying criteria, terms and conditions apply. Permanent TSB PLC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Most people say that Donegal is the coolest place on the planet, but up here we know that sometimes it can be the coldest. Charles Bunner & Sons Ballybuffet is the one-stop shop for all your heating needs. We have a huge range of multi-fuel and wood pellet stoves and ranges, spare parts for all major stove and range brands, plumbing and bathroom ware, all at exceptional prices. So visit our showrooms where our friendly and experienced team will be ready to help you. Charles Bunner & Sons Ballybuffet and the stovestore.ie, where you can always do a good deal better.
For a great early season lawnmower deal, visit Gartley Sales and Hire, exclusive stockists of Stiga in the Northwest. Mowers, trimmers and hedge trimmers. Full trade-in service available at Gartley Sales and Hire, Gartley, Letterkenny. Call 9126276.
Are you thinking of making the switch to electric? Come visit us in iMotors, Donegal's SEAI EV Dealer of the Year 2022. We will answer any questions and help you make the switch. With our award-winning lineup of Kia EVs available now, come visit us at iMotors in Letterkenny and Malin.
If the medical experts get it wrong, everything changes. From misdiagnosis or delayed diagnosis to surgical injury or even poor treatment. All have physical, emotional and financial consequences. We're here to help. So if your treatment didn't go according to plan, speak to our experienced medical negligence team at McElhenney and Associates. Find us online or call 074 917 5989. McElhenney and Associates Solicitors, Stranorlar. In contentious business, a solicitor may not calculate fees or other charges as a percentage or proportion of any award or settlement.
Okay, so Donegal County Council and the Ballybuffet and Stranorlar Chamber of Commerce have embarked on a trial of a new approach to the upkeep of the public realm in the Twin Towns. The new arrangement will see the council allocating a proportion of the car parking charges collected in the Twin Towns to provide grant assistance to the Chamber to help with the upkeep of the public realm. We're joined on the programme now by Councillor Patrick McGowan, local councillor to that area, of course. Good morning to you, Patrick. Thanks for taking the call today.
Good morning, Greg.
Right, okay, so this makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, it is a trial, but, if money's raised in the area and it can be spent in the area, then why not?
Yeah, well, look, this is something that I came up with about 2 years ago. There was a lot of issues coming forward from businesses, the tidy towns, Chamber of Commerce, and other people. And at the time, there was two issues: was the state of the town, the money that was being collected, what was happening, the money that was collected, and why was businesses, why was their customers paying for it, what were they getting for it, and so on. And then the cost of maybe the council maintaining the town, and maybe the lack of resources. So I just come up with the idea, and I approached then at the time with John McLaughlin and Brendan O'Donnell there. Brendan was acting director and the council, and when I put it to them, both of them were very up for the idea. I thought it was a very good idea. We spent probably 2 years between the Chamber of Commerce and the council discussing it, the what ifs and maybe the different problems and how you would put it in place. And through the Chamber and the kind of council, we spent now about 2 years working through it. So what we have done now, we have reached agreement that the local elected members within the Standard MD have agreed to this process as well. They were involved in it, and they've given their backing to it. So the Chamber of Commerce have now they've advertised there this week, bring on a full-time person, will be an outdoor maintenance person. They have purchased a street sweeping machine and other equipment. And basically, they're going to get a grant of around 80,000, which will come out of the car parking charges, and that person will go on. Now, at the moment, the Chamber of Commerce has the CE scheme in the town, and they do a lot of that work, especially at weekends. So they will work together. And also, there a local health and safety firm, Mickey Larkin there, he will do an ongoing health and safety on the streets. When it comes to putting up say Christmas lights, and when it comes to hanging baskets and flowers, and generally working out in the street to make sure that everything's done proper and safe, and especially when you have scheme people out there and employees. So the thing now is to start very shortly. The contract's been signed, the grant's been approved by the council. So it's all about keeping the realm in the streets, about carrying out small repairs. We have a pound, a historical place, laybys, flower beds, the whole general upkeep of the town. So it is a pilot scheme. I don't think it's been done anywhere else.
How long are the contracts for?
The contract, well, initially it's going to be about 3 years, because it's kind of a suck it and see sort of thing.
That sounds more than a pilot, though, doesn't it?
Oh, well, it is. It's very much more than a pilot, but it is a pilot in the sense that it hasn't been done before. They have to trial both parties, both the Chamber of Commerce and the County Council. You're going into sort of new waters here, and we're not sure what to do. Now, there's an awful lot of work went into it in 2 years, as you can imagine, and we've sort of spoke to kind of consultants and health and safety. We've costed things out, where our accountants and the bank, everything. I'm pretty sure it'll work, you know what I mean? But it is new, and I would say it's more than a pilot scheme, but we're calling it that for now anyway.
So what does this mean in terms of what difference will it make to what the public see, or the experience of being in and around Ballybofey Stranraer in basic terms?
Look, if you look at the town, and because we're probably one of the few towns in the county, or the country is still on a national prime road, all the Letterkennys, the Donegal towns, they've all been bypassed. The hundreds, the thousands of lorries come through every day, the wear and tear, even the salt coming out of the salt machines, the effect it has on the street furniture, the lampposts, the benches, the flowers, the town. Like, you nearly have to paint every year. So this will be an outdoors works manager who will work with the resources that he gets through the tidy towns, through the chamber, and try to work together, identify, put on a plan for a couple of years, and bring the resources together. If we might have 10 people out there, CE workers, and it's a matter of coordinating everybody working together, plus that person will be full-time, and they will have quite a bit of equipment there. So instead of the town getting a clean up maybe 2 or 3 mornings a week, it is at the moment, it would have a regular plan worked out, and as I say then, ongoing maintenance. Because in fairness, there's an awful lot of people up until now have been putting a hell of a lot of work into doing what's done there, and people sometimes don't appreciate that. It's nearly a full-time job for a lot of these tidy towns and business people. So this is to help coordinate and work it together. And as to say, it's putting, what would you say, the right term is putting manpower, it's putting labour into it. It's going to be focused. And obviously there has been an awful lot of plans. And we do have an area like the Pound in Stranraer and a lot of other wee areas, and they're not being maintained. Occasionally they get a clean up, but they really need a lot of maintenance work. Fences, ditches, trees, hedges, right out with normal walks, but right out the Glen.
And will the money, if issues are identified or problems are identified, then where does the money come to fix those problems?
Well, at the moment, and then involved in tidy towns, will tell you there's about 4 or 5 different grants comes in into each town or each area. There's a tidy town or environmental group, and sometimes you're chasing the money rather than having a long-term plan. And plus, there was a strategic plan launched for Ballybofey yesterday, and there's been quite a few plans. So the whole idea is that the Chamber and the tidy towns have been waiting on this for a long time, particularly the last 2 years. So we hope to try and get that sorted out.
All right, a caller says, when will the footpath be finished at Hillhead? It's extremely dangerous and really needed. While you're on,
Mulbrae, is that, is it?
Let me see what they said. Hillhead is where they said. No, might be Mulbrae.
It could be Mulbrae now, I would imagine. They're working there at the moment, but Unfortunately, this is from the Clay's Corner down to the new school, I presume, that they're talking about. Now, the problem there at the moment, they only got a small grant of 30 or 40,000 to tidy up the footpaths there. They need a completely new footpath down to the school on the opposite side of the road. They got 80,000 euros to start that, but that's not going to complete it. And I've been on to the minister himself, and he was down looking at it about a month ago. The need to progress that footpath immediately. It should have been done long ago. We're planning that school for 20 years, yet now we're opening it now with a sort of a footpath on one side, which is definitely not up to what anybody recently called standard,
All right, listen, thanks for your time this morning. I appreciate it.
No problem at all.
All right,
Thank
take
you,
care of
Greg.
yourself. Thank
Bye-bye.
you indeed. That's Councillor Patrick McGowan there discussing the news that a new approach is being adopted in the Twin Towns, where money raised from parking charges will be used to employ people, seemingly, and other initiatives to keep the area looking as good as it can. Okay, what do you think? 086 60 25,000. Hi, Greg. Will the government give everyone on the housing list first before they sort out refugees? No, as I say, as I said at the start of the programme, I think really the question needs to be asked as to why, if there were homes lying vacant, why is it only now a push is being on to bring them into use? Well, the Irish government is a joke. When people were laying on the streets with no home, they didn't care. Now they're getting money off us, the taxpayer, and they can find homes. Okay. Another, hi, Greg. If one person owns or holds the majority, say in Twitter going forward, is there a danger this could be exploited in the future by big players if they do wish a certain topic of the day, etc.? Of course it is. And it's actually going into private ownership. It's going to be delisted from the stock exchange. Elon Musk will own Twitter. It is hugely influential. I think its influence will wane. I think he's thrown money down the drain. But anyway, of course, they will be able to set and control the agenda, possibly. Give a higher platform to certain accounts while others, might be shadow banned. It all happens now. It's bound to happen under its new ownership as well. All right, next guest coming up very shortly.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering mortgages with life cover provided at no additional cost. Letterkenny Credit Union. 9102127.
Sportswear for women at Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure in fresh new colours and styles. Nike Pro tees and vests with matching shorts and fitness tights, perfect for working out or just for that leisure look. Under Armour offers new colours, quarter zip tops, t-shirts with matching shorts in different lengths. Complete your fitness look with the latest footwear from Nike, Asics and Brooks. Look the part, play the part, in store or online. Click and collect on bmcsports.ie.
On the farm, if you need some machinery parts, contact Tinney's Agri Spares in Letterkenny. Specialists in parts for Sammy, Lamborghini, John Deere and Zetter. Also stocking a full range of service and wearing parts for Kuhn balers and mowers, and a full range of agricultural lubricants at unbeatable prices. On the farm, get it sorted at Tinney's Agri Spares, Leck Road, Letterkenny. Call 91222374.
It's the Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring half-price sale. Get up to 50% off everything in store. All kitchen and bathroom tiles, all wood flooring, all bathware, all cladding. Everything's reduced. It's our biggest ever sale. The Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring half-price sale. Stores nationwide. Sale ends Sunday.
Get your weekly shop at M&S. Check out remarkable value with over 100 everyday products at really surprising prices, like pasta for just 50 cent. Or fresh market specials, seasonal veg, all at 50 cent. Plus, we've lowered the prices on the products we know you love to buy, from our traceable lean Irish mince beef to rich tea biscuits. So pop in today and enjoy great quality at prices you love, with all these ways to save at M&S Food. Subject to availability, see in store for details.
All right, Patrick joins us on the programme now. Hiya, Patrick.
Good morning, Greg.
You've been sitting on the housing list for a while, presumably being told that there's no housing available, that there's nothing they can do for you at the moment. Tell us what your story is.
Well, they told me that I'm entitled to a 2-bedroom accommodation, but I've seen a vacant property that's been land vacant for, say, 18 to 17 months. I knew the lady had lived in the property and she passed away. The property is still there. It's a 1-bedroom. You know, at the moment I would accept the caravan, and let's be honest, but I'm getting nowhere with the council. I've got the local, I'm allowed to say name, Jerry Mack. He's on my case. I've just phoned the housing, and the same as always. Oh, you'll be notified. You've been notified, and you know, it's just passing me off. You know.
Any idea why this property would be lying vacant for so long? Is anyone able to explain that to you?
No, they haven't. I've told them. I've told them the address. I've actually looked into the property window, and you know, every time I go past on the bus, it's still lying idle. You know. Well, I'm living in Hops, under Hops, and I want my own accommodation.
Yeah, what is that like? You're living in a rental at the moment, is it?
I'm living in private rental at the moment, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And you just want your own roof over your head, stability going forward, and
going forward, it's just me and the dog, and I suffer from depression, and you know, I just don't seem to be getting anywhere at all.
Yeah. And you've compromised. You're entitled to a 2-bed, but you said, look, if there's a 1-bed there, give that to me.
Yeah, that's all I want is 1 bed.
To help us understand, right, why is it important, if you're living at the moment, and I'm not questioning it for a second, Patrick, but I just want to get an understanding. If you're currently living you're in a house at the moment, and it's supported through HAP, why is it so important for you to move into another property?
Because my well-being has been threatened. I got a letter off the Gardaí to put into the housing about my well-being. You know, I'm not very liked around where I don't go anywhere here. I don't even go to the shop here because I'm threatened. And I just want to move. I just want to get out of here. You know, I can't even go to the shop.
All right, and it's clearly taking its toll on you.
That's probably my own, you know, insecurity. But, you know, I don't want to be getting attacked or anything else, you know, and I'm just too old for it.
Yeah, all right. Very frustrating. And then, of course, you know, this is what I was trying to say at the start of the program. Like, we know these stories of properties that are vacant. Because we've discussed it many a time on programs like this. But now that we hear that the amount that they're talking about, it begs the question: why were these properties not fast tracked to meet the needs pre-war?
Yeah, that's what I can't understand. You know, like, I'm born in this country, you know, and you know, okay, I know there's a war going on at the moment, and there's people, Ukrainians, but like, I grew up in a war in the north, you know, and I come through that, and I can't see why I can't just get my own house, you know, just to live in and be happy. And there's plenty of bus routes that I can just jump on a bus to Letterkenny and whatever. You know, I'm on disability. You know, I don't need much. I just need a proper roof over my house, over my head, that I can call my home for life.
All right, Patrick, I hope you get sorted soon. Thanks for speaking to me this morning.
Thank you very much, Greg.
All right,
Thank
take
you.
care. Bye-bye. Peter, good morning to you. No, we've lost Peter there. We'll get Peter back on, perhaps. Are you in a similar situation in terms of, you know, a long time waiting for housing, maybe evidently in the area that you want to live. Housing lying there vacant. 086 60 25,000. Greg Eamon Ryan seems to live in a wee world of his own with very little relationship to the real world. If he just holds his fire, pardon the pun, for a few years, turf cutting will die out naturally. It is a sunset practice. I mean, there's just no doubt about that. We are moving away from that. People in terms of building the new houses are looking for different options, maybe not even putting in an open fire. Last couple of years, 80% of houses heated by electricity. You know, this is probably a sunset practice. So why now, in the middle of what we're going through at the moment? I don't know. I have no answer to that question. But they would say, well, sure, there's never a good time. But there is. But they go on to say, this caller, the reason I say this is that nowadays most of the young ones would hardly go out to the shed for a bucket of turf, never mind go to the bog. Yeah, you have to sort of coerce them with some sort of a reward sometimes, don't you? What's causing the traffic delays in Letterkenny? Been stuck in traffic for 20 minutes. I don't know what's going on. I mean, we know what's going on. I thought, to be honest with you, and maybe I'm ignorant, and I had looked over the contract, I was under the impression that the contract stated for the 4 lanes work that work would only happen at night. Now it's happening during the day. I don't know what the situation there, or if the terms have changed, or if maybe I misread the situation. I don't know, but I know people are avoiding coming into Letterkenny at the moment, and you don't want that, do you? A caller says, I just want to make drivers aware of the traffic chaos in Letterkenny this morning. It's already jammers. The Remelton Road at a standstill, 10-minute journeys taking an hour. It's a disgrace. Surely there is another solution to reducing the busiest road to 1 lane from an angry worker. If there were 60 people out working at that, you might go, right, okay, well, you know, this will not take long, and maybe a couple of days or whatever. It doesn't appear to be the case to me anyway. I don't know any other insights into that. 086 60 25,000. We're being told it's only until Friday, so maybe should we be a bit more patient and just accept that the reward will be worth the pain? I don't know. Right, actually, we don't have to go to someone else. We can move next on to our next item very, very shortly. In fact, we don't have to go to an ad break. Another caller says the traffic in Remelton is backed up as far as Alcorns. Can drivers please take care coming around that sharp corner, because it is extremely dangerous? Yes, I can imagine. Another, I've been stuck in traffic from Woodlawn School to Meadow Hill for 25 minutes. I'm still stuck. It's usually a 5-minute trip as well as this. There are cars turning everywhere to try and get out of the traffic. It is extremely dangerous. I'm glad I'm not sitting in it. Right, okay. Over 80% of young children who are identified as gifted by their parents and teachers are male. The trend has been highlighted by Dr. Colm O'Reilly, Director of Ireland's Centre for Talented Youth, which provides enrichment courses for students with high academic ability from the age of 6. And the Director of Ireland's Centre for Talented Youth, Dr. Colm O'Reilly, joins us now. Good morning to you. Doctor, thanks very much for taking the time out of your morning.
Oh, thanks for inviting me on. Happy to talk about this interesting topic.
Right. I mean, 80% of young children who are identified as gifted by their parents and teachers are male. Now, I mean, I don't think are boys out punching girls 4-1, or is there something going on here with how we're highlighting our young people?
Yeah, definitely. The issue obviously is that there certainly isn't a 80% turnover of boys compared to girls in this category. It's really identification. Like, I think that teachers much more likely to identify boys in the context that if they get bored in school, they might be somewhat disruptive, whereas the stereotype says that girls might be more quieter and adapt more socially to their environment, so wouldn't come to the attention as much. And then equally so at home, parents will, in a lot of instances, be more likely to put their younger sons forward as gifted children than they would their daughters.
Are you surprised at that? Because, you know, I can probably see how it might happen outside of the home, but us as parents and guardians and caregivers, you know, do we, what would be in our minds that would not see the potential of a female child versus that of a male, I wonder?
I think sometimes it's like what the criteria is. I think that we expect girls maybe to be better socially. We expect them probably to have a more extended vocabulary. So we don't probably quite realize how good they actually are. And therefore, we're not putting them forward for these type of programs. Whereas with the boys, we're more concentrated on things like science and engineering and computer gaming, of which there's a much more higher population of boys in that category. And we're putting them forward because we see something in them that says, oh, they look bored with what they're currently doing and they could do it a stretch and a challenge, while ignoring the girls who might be miles ahead verbally, miles ahead at lots of different things. But people are just kind of looking at that as normal development, which in a lot of instances it's not.
Yeah, and before we get into that a bit more, how do we, define a child as gifted?
Like what we would look at, there's a lot of different definitions related to it. What I would try and do is look at kids who say are in, if you want to percentage-wise, top 5% of the population. So that's quite a lot. That's 1 in 20. Whereas sometimes people have this misconception of gifted students as being 1 in 1,000, or somebody who is way out there and off the scale in relation to that. What we're trying to do at centres like the one we run at Dublin City University is to normalise high ability in the context that it's a special need. And that if you had somebody who is in the bottom 5% of the population academically, you'd certainly intervene to give them challenges that would allow them to function in a mainstream level. Whereas if you're 3 standard deviations above the middle, the definite concentration is on leaving you there to your own devices. And this is why this early identification is an issue, because a lot of the schooling is done towards reaching a criteria. So once the students reach the criteria, look, I'm sympathetic with the teachers. There might be 10 out of the 30 who don't reach the criteria, and therefore they have to work with those students, and the others are left to their own devices. And that is definitely at the detriment of high ability students.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, in certain areas, obviously, if everything is done right, it can still be a struggle for women to get to certain positions. But in certain areas of expertise, science, maths, and all that kind of stuff, I think we know them. There are initiatives out there to, make role models, create role models to encourage girls to go into these areas, and so that we all get the benefit of their expertise. But if we're not giving them the confidence or platforming them, we're missing a few steps, aren't we? We're expecting then the child to do all the heavy lifting and say, oh, that person is inspirational, I want to do that. But if we're not platforming them, if they are gifted, are we going to support them in their dreams? Like, there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting point that you're making there, and it's very relevant. I think that it absolutely captures what I'm thinking about in relation to identification, because if we identify somebody for something, then we have to have something in place so that they can utilize what we've identified them for. So it's easy to say, oh, we've identified you as gifted, but we haven't put anything in place for you to fulfill your potential in relation to that. And that's a challenge, and particularly so for girls, because most of them will be in computer programming or in engineering, a lot of these interventions. And look, these are worthwhile initiatives, but they're very male dominated. And I think that this is a problem related to, again, from a social perspective for girls who might go into that environment. 19 boys in the class, 1 girl. It's pretty intimidating in that regard, particularly at a young age. So I think these interventions have to be taught through to make sure, exactly as you're saying, role models, but there also has to be some level of equality related to the numbers within these.
Yeah, and we have to have a space whereby equally for boys and girls, they go, oh, that is a role model, that could be for me, rather than looking from a distance saying, oh, it's great to see that, isn't it? Is there, though, just on the most basic level, a bias, a human bias, if you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what the way it is, but like a daughter might be the apple of a father's eye, or the son the apple of a mother's eye, or dependent in the family, whether you're born first, last, or in the middle. I just wonder if there's actually just a real basic blocker here in terms of, how we think as humans.
I definitely think there's a bias in that regard. You're totally right. And it's very difficult to overcome it. Like, if you think of a professor, everybody thinks of a male. Very few people think of a female in relation to that. Child genius, everybody thinks of a boy, related much more so than a girl in that context. And I think that there are things that we need to change, and that we need to kind of move in relation to that, to make it kind of give more opportunities to females in these situations. But again, that overcoming these stereotypes is very important in that regard. But equally so, like we might have, if you look at, laterally in education, girls outperform boys in all areas. So therefore they do catch up, but that's quite interesting. That's when you have teachers there who teach specific subjects, and they already see that the girls are way above the criteria because they're used to teaching that subject and saying, wow, you're miles ahead of what you should be, because I know where a 13-year-old would be at that level. Therefore, they can do it. I think it's at the earlier age is the difficulty, because it's a little bit more variable, and these stereotypes then fall into place because we automatically assume boys are going to like computers, girls are going to like different things, humanities-based subjects. And I think that that's why if I'm hiring people in these subjects, I'm really trying to hire female engineering teachers, female computer science teachers, because again, they're much better role models and people can see people within that age. It's different than saying, astronauts and things like that. They're really like, it's very difficult to become an astronaut, but it isn't that difficult to become a computer scientist. And therefore, if they can see 21-year-old computer scientists teaching them who are female, that's a much more aspirational level to go to. But I think some of the interventions are too wide-ranging related to what we can do to help.
So, and this is a generalization, and I'm sure it's not literally, exactly like this, but boys, if they aren't being challenged enough in education, they'll act up, they'll cause a sting, and then we'll figure out that they're geniuses. Girls will take it on the chin, they'll calm down, and that's, they'll actually just accept it and keep their head down and carry on with what they're doing, right? Will that change though? Because there are people out there that would feel that this suits. We don't want a load of women coming up and running the world, because that's a scary thought. Let's keep the status quo. So how high up the chain would pushback come on changing our attitude in this regard, I wonder?
I think it is definitely changing. I would notice related to the relationships, like say that I would see in computer firms like say Intel or Microsoft or places like that. They very much want to have much more female employees in their companies. And they're offering incentives and opportunities for girls to do these things. And that's why it's a huge opportunity for women to go into these fields, because there's definitely places available. Like some of them are only at like 6 to 10% of female employees, where they're looking for obviously 40 to 50%. So if you're coming out with a degree in computer science or in engineering, in these companies where there will be good opportunities for you based on stability and travel and a good job in that context, these companies are definitely available to you. I'm not advocating or saying I'm promoting these particular companies.
No, but I think because what happens when we went into the recession, and I think I'm correct in saying so, there was a drop off in the amount of people that were going into construction or architecture in terms of those taking the courses, because they thought, well, sure, no one's building a house. By the time those that were in that sector, we were coming out of that recession, and then we had a shortfall in those skill sets. So, I mean, we need parents and guardians and also career guidance teachers and schools to be looking at the bigger picture here, to be saying, right, because of your gender, there is a shortage here. Is there an area that you're interested in that regard, so that we are giving young people, it's an awful lot, because we almost make young people, generally speaking, at 13 or 14 years of age, decide what they want to do for a living. It's crazy, really. We need to be doing more, don't we, to give them all the options, to give them all the outs.
Yeah, I totally agree. And like, to me, exactly when you said it there, it's not, the most radical idea out there, like particularly for career guidance and teachers, they're qualified in these areas. And I think a lot of them are ones who are encouraging girls to go into not like with high ability, they're obviously encouraging them to go into medicine. That's like not a bad thing. Medicine is a great profession, but I definitely think it's at the expense of going into computer science or engineering. And I would find from my experience of some of these females, they're equally as good at computer science and engineering as they would be at medicine, but they're pushed into that because, it's prestigious, it's hard to get into, and therefore it ticks a box related to what you're going to do with that particular person, but it may not be completely what their skill set really is. And I think that we need to encourage more girls to try different things that might be a little bit outside their comfort zone in that regard, but it is difficult. And like, we've tried things like having girls only engineering courses, and they have been successful in the context that the feedback we're getting is that they're saying, well, for the first time in my life, the teacher asked me a question rather than the boy in the class.
Yeah, but that's not. I don't know how to describe it. We shouldn't need to be in that space.
No,
but I mean, I mean, it's I understand why it would be the case, but it's almost as if that's counterintuitive in a sense as well, because what's it saying to these women? Listen, it's been a fascinating conversation, Doctor. Thanks so much for your time.
No problem. Great to talk to you.
You
and
too.
hopefully
We'll
we can resolve this issue.
Okay, right. Thank you. Dr. Colm O'Reilly, Director of Ireland's Centre for Talented Youth. Right, so we know the Green Party leader, Eamon Ryan, is holding meetings with Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael backbench TDs. There's also a Sinn Féin motion upcoming as it relates to a debate on the ban on turf, on the sale of turf. Deputy Joe McHugh, good morning to you. Thanks for taking the call.
No problem. Thanks, Greg.
Right, what will you be telling Eamon Ryan? I'm not sure if you're meeting with him. If you are, what will you tell him? But if you were, what would you tell him?
Yeah, well, we're meeting at 3:00 today, so I'm happy that he's coming into the Parliamentary Party because he needs to hear the viewpoint of the TDs who are basically facing this issue head on. We know the reality on the ground. I've been working very closely with Brendan Griffin, my colleague in Kerry. I've also been liaising with Barry Cowan, Fianna Fáil TD in the Midlands, to try and get perspectives in their own constituencies, and it's a similar one. It's very much a case of affordability. It's very much a case of people relying on sellers of turf and bags of turf, and some bags of turf range, in around approximately an average of about €3 a bag. And when you consider a bag of coals, 25, €26, it's a whole affordability issue. So we're going to get an opportunity to put our point of view across to Eamon Ryan today. We are conscious there's a big climate change challenge. We understand that. We're supportive of that. But there also is the reality of people who will be facing into fuel poverty this winter. And I'm going to be very interested in what he has to say, but more importantly, he's going to have to listen to the backbench TDs who have been engaging on the ground in this. I've been speaking to a few sellers as well. It's not a lucrative business by any means.
But what people might not understand is what this makes it look a little bit like is at least some in government are have no understanding of real life, or maybe there's an incompetence there, right? Because I think we can concede that this is kind of a sunset practice, that we are probably naturally going to move away from cutting and burning turf. I don't know how long that might take, but it feels that that's the space that we're in. Secondly, we are in a war situation, and we know the cost of oil and what have you. Now, new homes don't have open fires. A lot of the houses are being heated with electricity. That problem is solving itself. So why this? Why now? It just makes people feel that your government is completely out of touch with the reality of life and also the reality of what's happening in the world at the moment.
Well, look, the bit that doesn't add up here is when you have a debate which is happening within the European Parliament around the classification of gas as green energy to help in that transition. We're making the same argument in a very rural area, which is looking at a transition. Yes, like I certainly be supportive in time, and people who cut turf and people know that the cutting of turf is going to face challenges into the future. But for the moment, for the meantime, we have to pause here, because with all those constraints and all those challenges you mentioned, including the Ukrainian issue and the cost of living is a single biggest issue that we're facing as an economy, as a country. So that's the message I'll be putting across to Eamon Ryan.
Okay, so if I'm Eamon Ryan and I say to you, that's fine, Joe, but the people in Letterkenny might say, well, we're facing a crisis here. We're in fuel poverty. Why can we not buy turf and burning in Letterkenny then, if it's okay for the rural people to make a few euro off it and to save money on there? Why are we paying €25 a bag for smokeless coal? Let us burn the turf as well. What do you say to that?
Well, that's a question I'll certainly be asking. It's the argument that you just divide by geography is not. I don't think it's a good enough argument, because there is similar fuel poverty constraints whether you live in a town, a big town, or in the rural areas. So I think that's what needs to be teased out today. I know myself and Brendan Griffin, who represents Kerry, we've been in touch with us on this issue all over Easter. Brendan has been very proactive in ensuring that this meeting has happened. So I think those are the things that need to be teased out today. And it's really important. We had a party meeting in Cranford last night, and we had the meeting, ironically, in a room with turf burning, and that certainly got the conversation going. And the meeting we had last week in Glenties, it was quite clear coming from our own party that there has to be a pause here, there has to be a transition, and there has to be a middle ground of common sense, which unfortunately can, perception-wise and reality-wise, can be seen.
But this is a problem, isn't it, of current government, in that this has all been kite flying. You know, nothing has been discussed at government level. Eamon Ryan has said publicly what he wants to happen. Leo Varadkar has said publicly, what he believes should happen. It hasn't even come before government yet, and it's being debated as if... I mean, that's a problem, isn't it, with how you guys are running the country?
No, I think where the problem lies on this issue was how it was communicated. It was communicated in a very, very poor way through a parliamentary question. It was actually Brendan Griffin who put down the question. Civil servants write down the answers to these questions in consultation with the Minister. So Minister Ryan would have been aware that that question was going out in the form of a parliamentary question to a rural TD. It was the wrong way of doing it, and it got everybody's backs up. And Eamon Ryan's going to get that feeling today. If he hasn't got it already to date, he's going to get it today from both the Fianna Fáil and the Fine Gael TDs and senators, and that's really important. And it's not about saying no to the actions and the immediacy of climate change. We're all aware of that. We're all conscious of it. But for the moment, with all these constraints, all these challenges facing us economically and the cost of living for so many people in this country, that this is an issue that needs to be teased out properly, and to do justice to the people that put in so much effort into providing this valuable service as well. And having spoken to a few of the vendors who cut the turf, who won the turf, who provide summer jobs for a lot of young people in secondary schools to help them do it. And it's not just a monetary issue. It's an issue of culture as well, which we have to be
for sure. Very finally and briefly, later we're going to hear from Sinn Féin. They say Leo Varadkar should not return to the role of Taoiseach at the end of this year. A general election should be called and let the people decide. Obviously, he's due to return to the role in December. He's currently under investigation for disclosing a confidential document to a friend while he was Taoiseach in 2019. Would you be in favour of a general election, let the public decide, particularly with this cloud hanging over Leo Varadkar?
No, absolutely not. And look, there was a general election 2 years ago. Sinn Féin had an opportunity to go into government 2 years ago. They didn't take that opportunity. I'm not too sure if things have changed since that. But one thing in relation to this issue, from Leo Varadkar's personal point of view and obviously political point of view, this issue needs to be dealt with. I'm completely gobsmacked as to why it's taken so long. There has to be due process, but there has to be fair process as well, and it's gone on far too long. And having spoken to Leo privately about this as well, he wants it dealt with, and whatever end game is in relation to that, and Leo's confident that the outcome will be a positive one, and he's already acknowledge the fact that it wasn't proper practice to do what he did. But in terms of this particular process, let's see how it ends up, and let's see what the outcome is. But one thing is for sure, from speaking to people, there has to be fairness and there has to be transparency. But this process hasn't been a fair and transparent process, and I think that's where the difficulty lies.
All right, thank you very much for your time this morning, Deputy Joe McHugh there.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Calling artists and creative arts workers. The Basic Income for the Arts pilot scheme is now open. A groundbreaking initiative where 2,000 participants will get €325 a week over 3 years to focus on their creative practice. The Irish Government, valuing the arts, supporting creativity. Go to gov.ie/basic income arts.
Are you tired of waiting for treatment or surgery? Did you know you can receive immediate treatment across the border under the new NI planned healthcare scheme at potentially no cost? Donegal patients are still being treated with us at Kingsbridge Private Hospital Northwest post-Brexit. The process is easy and our dedicated team will help guide you through it. So why wait? Contact us today to find out how you can skip the waiting lists and receive treatment in Northern Ireland. Visit kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com, because life matters.
You'll find all the best toys at Foy's Ballybofey. Discover great value on all the latest toys, ride-ons, bikes and Bear go-karts, with new deliveries arriving every week. Great offers on best-selling brands like Lego, Fisher-Price and Barbie. With new deliveries every week, you can get all the fun shipped to your door, with free delivery on orders over €75. Shop local and find everything you need at Foy's Ballybofey, or shop online at toysatfoys.com.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Get ready to hit the beach and soak up the sun by choosing flights to Alicante, Barcelona, Faro, Mallorca, Malaga and Milan this summer with Ryanair. Ireland West Airport, you're flying.
Okay, so largely dry this morning with good sunny spells, though the afternoon cloud will bubble up along with well scattered showers becoming more isolated towards the evening, temperatures of 12 to 14 degrees. We'll be back with more, including the Community Garda information item after the news at 10 with Michaela.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Clark with the news at 10 o'clock. The Environment Minister says we have to find a balance between saving lives and reducing the numbers experiencing fuel poverty. Eamon Ryan was speaking ahead of his meeting with Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil backbench TDs on the issue of banning turf. Sinn Féin have called a Dáil debate on the issue and want the minister to scrap the plans. The Green Party leader says they want to reduce the number of premature deaths.
So I think the provisions we have will do that. Not only the Cabinet today will discuss it, but meeting other members of the parliamentary parties, the other parties in government later today. And I think it's a workable, deliverable approach to saving lives. That's what's at the centre of this.
Well, speaking on the 9 till noon show a short time ago, Donegal Deputy Joe McHugh says he will be making Minister Ryan aware of the realities facing people on the ground when he meets with him today.
We're going to get an opportunity to put our point of view across to Eamon Ryan today. We are conscious there's a big climate change challenge. We understand that. We're supportive of that. But there also is the reality of people who will be facing into fuel poverty this winter. And I'm going to be very interested in what he has to say, but more importantly, he's going to have to listen to the backbench TDs who have been engaging on the ground in this.
The fire service and the local community have been praised for bringing a gorse fire under control in West Donegal. The fire broke out in the Crawley area yesterday morning, close to a number of properties. Locals were first on the scene and the blaze was eventually brought under control with the assistance of the fire service. Councillor Micheál Colmcgill-Osbeck says yesterday's event is another example of how a proposed task force to tackle gorse fires would be beneficial.
It was clear from the local community, and especially after the big fires over 3 years ago, that they wanted something like this. They wanted to engage with the council, they wanted to engage with the fire service and the trade union to try to put something in place that would stop the spread of the gorse fires. Because bear in mind, it's the local community who are the first there, and it is their homes, their neighbours and their families' property that they're protecting.
It comes as a condition orange fire danger notice has been extended until midday on Friday, with Donegal County Council urging people to take all necessary measures to prevent the occurrence of wildfires. Landowners and members of the public are urged to be vigilant and to report any uncontrolled or unattended fires immediately. The council is also urging landowners and members of the public not to engage in activities that could cause wildfires, to remove or cut back vegetation in the vicinity of buildings and oil tanks. The Health Minister is rejecting suggestions that he is refusing to answer questions on the secondment of Tony Holohan. Stephen Donnelly says there is no question that he will not appear before any Oireachtas committee on the issue. Yesterday, Sinn Féin called for the Minister to appear before the Finance Committee, while an invitation is expected to be sent to the Minister by the Health Committee for next week. Speaking on his way into Cabinet, Minister Donnelly said they want to have the full facts following an independent review.
we're going to have that report in a few weeks. It'll be by an independent expert, a very serious individual. So let's just get the report and let's then sit down and let's have the most informed conversation possible. Of course,
the Killybegs Fishermen's Organisation is urging the European Commission to act immediately on the presence of Russian trawlers in waters off the Faroe Islands. It's emerged a fleet of Russian freezer trawlers is operating in a zone shared between the UK and the Faroe Islands. KFO Chief Executive Sean O'Donoghue says the Faroes are issuing blue whiting licences to Russian boats so that they can get access to Russian Arctic cod quota. Mr O'Donoghue says while the Faroes have some autonomy on fisheries, they form part of the Kingdom of Denmark and do not have independence on critical issues such as military strategy. On this basis, he believes the EU should become involved.
The Faroes comes under the Danish crown in terms of military and foreign policy, not in terms of fisheries. There really needs to be an upping here by the EU and the Danish government that this is totally unacceptable and is aiding and abetting Russia's war in the Ukraine.
Weather now largely dry this morning with good sunny spells. Scattered showers will develop this afternoon, becoming more isolated towards evening. Highest temperatures of 12 to 14 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. Until then, good morning. The obituary notice is for this Tuesday morning, April the 26th. The death has taken place of James Jim McKnight, Galdonna Manor, Cunningham. His remains are reposing at his late residence. Funeral service there tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock, with burial afterwards in the family plot in Newton Cunningham Presbyterian Church graveyard. House private to family and close friends, please. Family flowers only. Donations in lieu to the Ronald MacDonald House, Dublin, care of any family member or Terence McClintock, funeral director. The death has occurred in London of Padraig McNulty, formerly from Clonmene, Cloughan. His remains will repose at the home of his sister Kate and Raymond McMenamin in Clonmene from 7 o'clock tomorrow evening. Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock on Friday morning in the Church of Our Lady of Perpetual Help, Glenfin, with interment afterwards in Kilty Vogue Cemetery. The Mass can be viewed on the parish webcam. Family, friends and neighbours welcome. Family time from 11 p.m. until 11 a.m. The death has occurred of Daniel Dan Gallagher, Ballykerrigan, Cloughan. His remains will repose at his late residence from 4 o'clock this afternoon. Funeral from there on Thursday morning at 10:15 for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock in the Church of Our Lady of Perpetual Succour, Glenfin, followed by interment in Glenfin Cemetery. Requiem Mass can be viewed live on mcnmedia.tv. The death has taken place of Kathleen Fury, née Brogan, Kilrain Upper Glenties. Kathleen's remains are reposing at her residence. Removal from there tomorrow morning at 10:30, going to St Connell's Church, Glenties, for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, with burial afterwards in the local cemetery. Family time please from 10 p.m. until 10 a.m. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. The death has taken place of Margaret Brown, née McCrory, Listilian Letterkenny. Margaret's remains are reposing at her late residence. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 11:15, going to the Church of the Irish Martyrs, Letterkenny, for 12 noon Requiem Mass, which can be viewed live on the Irish Martyrs Facebook page. Interment afterwards in St Patrick's Church Cemetery, Drumkeen, arriving at approximately 2:30. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu of flowers if desired to the Donegal Alzheimer's Association, care of any family member. Rosary this evening at 9 o'clock. Family time please from 11 o'clock tonight and before the funeral tomorrow. The death has occurred of Alice Boyle, née Gallen, 14 Hillview Park at Castlederg. Funeral from her late home this morning at 11:30 for Requiem Mass at 12 noon in St Patrick's Church, Castlederg. Interment afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. The death has taken place of James Maguire, 36 Summerhill Court, Strabane, reposing at Quigley's Funeral Home, Strabane, this evening from 5:30, with removal at 6:30 to St Mary's Church, Melmount. Requiem Mass tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. The death has taken place of Pete Conley, Drumahy Park, Ardra. His remains will repose at Chauvelin's funeral home, Sandfield, this evening from 5 o'clock, followed by removal to the Church of the Holy Family, Ardra, arriving at 7:30. Funeral Mass tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The death has taken place of Eddie McGarrigle, 17 Melmount Gardens, Strabane. Funeral leaving his home this morning at 11:25 for Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Melmount at 12 noon. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Donations in lieu of flowers, please, to Muscular Dystrophy, care of Quigley Funeral Directors. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. The death has taken place of Hugh Benedict McGarrigle, 11 Carricklee Road, Strabane, and formerly of 7 Butcher Street, Strabane. His remains are reposing at his son Anthony's home, 6 Hillmount Grove, Strabane. Funeral leaving his son's home this afternoon at 1:25 for Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Melmount at 2 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the Sacred Heart Cemetery, Derry Road. Donations in lieu of flowers, please, to St Vincent de Paul, care of Quigley Funeral Directors. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. The death has taken place of Virgin Doherty, née Farn, Grove Cottages, Muff. Requiem Mass will be celebrated at the Church of the Sacred Heart, Muff, this morning at 11 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The death has occurred of Kathleen Rutherford, née Shields, Cloughfin, St Johnston. Funeral leaving her late residence this morning at 10:30, going to St Bathan's Church, St Johnston, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of desire to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Kelly's Funeral Directors. And the death has occurred of Helen McLaughlin, née McDade, Fairview, Bray Road, Burnfoot, and formerly of Glass Salt, Carndonagh. Removal from her late residence this morning at 10:15 to St Murray's Church, Fawn, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Helen's Requiem Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Murphy Funeral Directors. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the second hour of the 9 till noon show. Some of your comments coming in here. Has the government forgot about families with mica in their homes? Some of them ready to fall. Can they not get all these available houses? Now, I don't know if there is an awful lot of people, and when I say I don't know, I'm not saying it's not the case. Is there an awful lot of people keen for a house to move out of their own house right now? Is there a demand there at the moment, or will we have to meet that demand as work to repair these houses gets underway? I don't know the answer to that question, but maybe someone out there might. Good morning, Greg. Re the education of girls or boys, it's important to realise that the norm in the future for careers will be nothing like we've been used to in the past. It's estimated that young people today will probably have between 3 and 4 career changes in their lives. This will require young people to be more flexible and ensure that they consider education as an essential lifelong need. Transformation is required within our education system to enable this lifelong learning and flexibility. Indeed, and listen, many of us perhaps should switch our careers more often than we do, and we hold ourselves back in doing so. Air traffic is the biggest polluter. That's not quite true. I understand where you're coming from, and that's often said, but it's just not the case at the moment. It took my husband 2 hours and 5 minutes to get from Alcorns to the Dry Arch yesterday. He was supposed to be reffing a hurling game, so missed it. Totally disgraceful and not good enough. I don't understand why the disruption to people's lives at the moment seemingly is acceptable, and business as well. That would be a great concern of mine. Greg, it's so obvious that where there is a will, there is a way with Irish government's health crisis. Cries unfixed for COVID, But COVID comes and magically money appears to address it. Mica crisis, housing crisis unfixed, but Ukrainian war refugees need housing, and thankfully Ireland helps them and money available. Says it all about the duplicitous governments we elect, doesn't it? And again, serious questions need to be asked as to why now all of a sudden we are recognising on a national scale the level of social housing that is vacant and saying we need to bring this into active use to house people, whether it's Ukrainians or those that were waiting on homes for a long time before that. I don't know. We'll have to keep an eye on that. I don't know precisely how that's going to work. But what changed that all of a sudden those houses lying empty was unacceptable and something had to be done to get them into use? There's a big question there. Hi, Greg. I'm just wondering how many of those social houses that are going to be made available for the Ukrainian refugees were already offered to Irish people who refused the offer of them because of the area they are in, or because of neighbours who maybe who are known to local people that would be afraid to live beside them, or the fear they would be burned out of them if they accepted the house. We need to make sure whoever goes into them houses are able to feel safe in their new homes. Hope this makes sense. It does make sense, and the statistics as it relates to refusals are out there. And they're relatively high, but they're not as high as one might think. They're not as high as to justify houses lying empty. But they're made available annually as it relates to refusals. Why not sort the Mica people out first with temporary homes before strangers? Well, I mean, that's you have a particular attitude there. I understand that. As I say, are there an awful lot of those affected by Mica who want to move out of their family homes now into houses? There will be a huge demand as work begins on the houses. Obviously, in many cases, and perhaps it should be all, demolish the houses. Of course, then people will need somewhere to stay. But is there a massive demand at the moment for houses? I don't know the answer to that question. Where is the money coming from to house the Ukrainian people? Is it from Europe? Well, there's going to be a mix. We know we can borrow big. We've done it with COVID when we want to. If there's a problem that needs to be fixed, we're going to have to find $3 billion next year. And the government will find it. They'll borrow it and then we'll have to pay it back. Why is the church so backward in coming forward in helping the resettling of Ukrainian refugees, asks this caller. There are 2 large parochial homes in our parish lying vacant and wouldn't take much effort to tidy them up. I suspect there are hundreds more such empty properties all over the country. If the clergy have no use for these homes, let them out to those in need. Seems the Christian thing to do, and a chance for the church to take the lead on this pressing issue. Another one, the government putting a rush on housing for refugees is going to have a negative impact on those poor people, because we have a housing problem for years with homelessness and the Mica issue, leaving so many people living in dangerous conditions. This development is a slap in the face to Irish people with housing problems, and it will undoubtedly cause resentment towards the Ukrainian refugees who are innocent in all of this. And I think that caller recognises the situation that people will, it's very possible to say, look, we should be doing all we can to help these people in the moment of need. But also, why weren't we doing this before? What about those who've been in Ireland, born in Ireland, or lived here for a long time? Why did we not sort it out previously? Because clearly we can when we want to. And are we going to make sure that that problem is fixed as much as is possible at the same time? And I think people might feel guilty for thinking and feeling like that there, but I think it's a human. It would be a human way of thinking about it. Hi, Greg. There should be an emergency lane for the ambulance. It was held back last night on the Port Road. Cars had to drive up the car park to let it pass. Well, I know with any major road development, there has to be a plan in action to deal with emergency services. That is part of the contracts that I've seen anyway. There has to be, it can't be ad hoc. There has to be a system in place for emergency vehicles. Could you please find out what support the council gives to a mixed estate where a minority of tenants and owners will not pay for the grass cutting and upkeep of the area? Twice we have tried to run a fair non-profit cheap scheme and twice failed. The collection and chasing of money is like begging. Sadly, no one will do this, and the grass common is now going to be a mess of weeds and rushes. Sad but true. It's a tough one, that, because people are entitled to do with what they want with their money, and if they don't feel like contributing to the green space financially, I don't know what, you can't compel people. Brother put name forward to house refugees while going through the screening process. He was asked, do you think your house has Mica or defective blocks? His house does have defective blocks and he was refused because it was deemed unsafe and unsuitable. The lady on the phone began to backtrack. How is it that our homes are deemed unsuitable for people fleeing war-torn countries but not for my family and my children? So just to recap that, this is someone who apparently had a house available or part of a house. They were asked if the house had mica or defective blocks. Now, are they asking everyone this question or is it only people in Donegal or Mayo? I don't know the answer to that. It seems a level of thoroughness that I would not expect in this process. I'm not questioning the listener, but it just seems to be a level of thoroughness that we have not become accustomed to. But if it all happened, as this listener says it has, and I've no reason to doubt them, the house was deemed to be unsafe to house Ukrainians, but obviously is safe enough for the people who, were living in it. I've been stuck in traffic for an hour trying to get from Milford to Letterkenny, and I'm still here. I'm now 35 minutes late for work. Well, I think you might have to get used to it. We were told that that section of works will conclude by Friday. But again, as far as I was concerned, and I'm open to correction on this from someone in the know, maybe a councillor might be listening who knows more about this than I, the contract was for those works to happen at night time. Was it not? Was there any provision within it for daytime works? I didn't see it, but that doesn't mean it wasn't there. Right, 086 60 25,000, your WhatsApps and your texts. Give us a call on 07491 25,000. We're going to be getting the very latest appeals and information from An Garda Síochána after we take this break. Stay right where you are.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
There is a place with a proud history of helping others, a place that refuses to look the other way. Today, Ukraine needs help, and that place is ready to welcome the Ukrainian people with open arms, to support those who have to stay behind. And there's a place to do it all, IrelandForUkraine.ie. A united response from Irish media organisations in support of charities that can make a difference, both here and in Ukraine. Donate now at IrelandForUkraine.ie.
Are you a landowner in the River Derg area? Do you want to find out who can provide agricultural services such as weed wiping, for rush control and riverside fencing? The Source to Tap project is holding a free agricultural contract fair near Colleator Castle Derg at St Davog's GAA Club, Ahiarn on Thursday the 28th of April from 11 to 4 p.m. Come along to meet local contractors and find out what services they can offer to help improve your farm business and make your farm water friendly. The Source to Tap project is supported by the European Union's Interreg 5A programme.
Do you need a little extra help staying in your home? At Bluebird Care, we offer a wide variety of QMark approved personalised home care services across Donegal. And our fully trained and committed staff will always meet your care needs with kindness, compassion and dignity. To get your personal home care assessment plan, visit bluebirdcare.ie or call our care team today on 07491 29562 and bring care home.
Sun soak for less this summer with TUI. Savings on holidays during May. Holiday sorted. TUI. Live happy.
This is your guide to smart glasses. Smart glasses often look like regular glasses, and some of them have built-in cameras. Even if you don't wear smart glasses, it's helpful to know what it looks like when someone who is wearing them is taking a photo or video. The person wearing smart glasses usually has to take an action, such as tapping the capture button to activate the camera. When the smart glasses are recording, you'll see an LED light on the frame. So now you know a bit more about smart glasses.
A message from Meta and EssilorLuxottica.
You're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. It's Tuesday morning, which means it's time for our Community Garda information item, and I'm delighted to welcome into studio again Garda Niall Maguire. Great to have you in, and good morning to you, Niall.
Good morning, Greg. Thanks for having us in.
No problem. Right, okay, we'll get straight to it, and we'll start with an appeal as it relates to a road traffic collision in the south of the county.
Yeah, a chap was seriously injured. Was riding a motorcycle on Sunday the 24th of April. At about just before 3 p.m. in the afternoon at Trumman West, Lahey on the Pedigo Road. The driver was airlifted with his injuries from the scene to Sligo University Hospital to be treated. So we're conducting an investigation into the circumstances of this incident. And any road users who may have been in the area and seen the incident or have dash cam, please make it available to the guards in Ballyshannon, and their contact number is 071 985 8530. I don't have any updates on the condition of the rider at this stage, Greg.
Right, we wish him a full and speedy recovery. Now, another road traffic collision, this time in Letterkenny, that the public might be able to help with.
Yeah, there was obviously a deliberate action in this one, Greg. My colleagues in Letterkenny are appealing for witnesses to this collision that happened on the Pierce Road. You may be familiar with the road. It's down Larkin's Lane, you know, that at the bottom of the main street. You go down past the tyre centre there, and then you come out and you're opposite McDonald's, kind of, and it's only like a one way. You can turn left, but unfortunately, this innocent person was turning left, and a blue BMW was travelling in the wrong direction on the road, and collided with the car, and subsequently failed to stop and continued on driving after crashing. It headed towards Old Town. I don't have full registration at this stage, but I'm sure that's been examined on camera footage at the moment. So anybody that was on the Pierce Road at the time of the collision or witnessed this again, or maybe if they have dash cam, anybody might know this blue BMW that has damage to the front that was used on Pierce Road or Old Town Road on Sunday night between 9:40 p.m. and 10 p.m. Please contact my colleagues in Letterkenny 9167 100.
Yeah, of course, and with all appeals nowadays, that includes the dash cam footage, doesn't it? Now, a criminal damage incident in Milford. What happened here?
Yeah, this was a vacant house at the Diamond in Milford. There's a little coffee van there. I think they call it the Copper Pan. It's a house in behind that. The ground floor windows were all broken on it. I think there's approximately 9 windows were smashed. The guards examined the scene, and there's some blood on the ground, so someone may have used their fists or hands or whatever to break this glass. Our best guess at this stage is that it happened either on Saturday night or Sunday night past. No access was gained to the building. It was simply just a criminal damage act. So we appeal to anybody who was in the area around that time or who may have witnessed the incident. Please contact the guards in Milford 9153060.
Yeah, and presumably someone may have landed home with unexplained damage to themselves. Okay. Yeah. Now, an assault in Buncrana on the Railway Road, this one, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right, Greg. The guards in Buncrana are investigating this assault that occurred on Saturday past, the 23rd of April, at approximately 2:05 in the morning to 2:10 at the Railway Road in Buncrana. A man is believed to have been assaulted at that location by another man. The injured party then continued to make his way onto St Mary's Road, where he became unwell and help was sought. The ambulance attended and took him to hospital for treatment for non-life-threatening injuries. So we are appealing to anybody who may have witnessed the incident on Railway Road or witnessed this chap at St Mary's Road to please contact the Gardaí in Buncrana on 074 9320 540. If anybody travelled along the Railway Road around that time, please contact the guards, and maybe once again we always include the dash cam in that, just in case somebody might have captured that on camera.
Right, now I have a note of a assault in Buncrana. I presume that's the same one.
That's the same one, yeah.
Just to make sure we get them all out. Okay, thank you for that. Right, now, An Garda Síochána involved in the National Community Engagement Day. What's this about?
Yeah, this is an association with the Irish Farmers Association. They're really the lead on this, and they're having these community engagement days, giving local people involved in agriculture the chance to meet their IFA reps, and the guards are jumping on board as well. This is happening on this 27th of April at over 300 venues across the country. Community groups involved in the National Rural Safety Forum will engage with the local community, and it's also our chance to meet some of the farming community at these different venues, and they're all around the different Garda districts. If we could just quickly run through them, Greg.
Yes, of course,
because, as Grania pointed out to me, this is targeted obviously at the farming community, and there's a certain element that may not have, they might be elderly within the community and might not have access to the internet and stuff. So in the Letterkenny Garda district, this meet and greet is at Home Lane, Ballyreen, between 11 and 12:30. The Clonlee Co-op, Newton Cunningham, 11 till 12:30. Super Value Ballybofey, 10 until 12. The Cake Centre, Killygordon, 1 until 2. Clonlee Co-op, Castlefin, 1:30 until 3. Again, this is all on the 27th. In Buncrana, it's at the Super Value in Buncrana between 11 and 12. Inishowen Co-op, Carndonagh, 11 and 12. SuperValu Carndonagh 2 till 3. Inishowen Co-op Buncrana 2 until 3. And my own district in Milford, it's at the Milford Mart between 11 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. The Homeland in Creeshla between 10:30 and 12. McClafferty Shop in Gorda Hark between 1 and 2:30 p.m. The Cope Dunlow between 11 and 12:30, and finally in Ballyshannon, Greg, St Bridget's Community Centre in Ballantrae 10 until 11:30. The Community Centre in Carrick between 10 and 11:30. The Termon Complex Pedigo between 10 and 11:30. And Duncanity Community Centre, Duncanity between 10 and 11:30. Everybody's welcome to come along to any of the stands, and we look forward to seeing everyone there. They will be put up. Brian will put them dates.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd like them to find the IFA page or the Donegal Garda Facebook page.
All right, and if anyone wants to ring us, we'll keep a note of those. If you want to ring us, we can tell you where and when in your local area. You know our number. Right, okay. An important day, April the 29th, Gold Purple Day. Many Gardaí getting involved in this, of course.
Yeah, Gold Purple Day is in support of victims of domestic violence or abuse, something that we're dealing with on an all too familiar basis, Greg. The Guards in Buncrana in particular are hosting a coffee morning in the Garda station on the 29th between 11 a.m. and 12:30. Again, everybody's welcome to call in and show their support. Just use this opportunity to urge anybody who is suffering as a result of domestic violence, please contact us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The numbers for Letterkenny are 9167100, Buncrana 9320540, Ballyshannon is 9858530, Milford is 9153060, 999 or 112 in case of emergency, or contact any Garda station. We're always going to provide a listening ear and advice. We can meet someone at a neutral location if they don't want to call to the Garda station, and please don't suffer in silence, because that's just the familiar theme that we find, and take that first step.
And there's always work in terms of dealing with this issue that needs to be done, but it is only fair to say we have come on, particularly I think in Donegal, leaps and bounds in the personnel that are available to liaise and work with people who are victims of domestic violence and domestic abuse, and just the general approach from the Gardaí.
Exactly, Greg. Yeah. Just before I go, just want to mention, Greg, we had a lot of incidents in Letterkenny on Saturday night. You know, the Tyson Fury fight was on Saturday, and a big event. But unfortunately, we had to deal with another maybe 10 Tyson Furies that there was a lot of punching and fighting, and it's shocking to see. I witnessed it firsthand myself. We're seeing parents of kids that have been left in wheelchairs and with life-changing injuries as a result of one-punch attacks. And there was horrific scenes there on the main street in Letterkenny on Saturday night. And thank God we're not dealing with any significant injuries. But it's it just takes one.
Was it one particular weekend, Niall, that was in it? Maybe everyone up to Hydo with the.
Well, I know from speaking to some of the pub owners, they didn't want to show the big fight because some of them were saying it just winds the young fellas up and they go mad. They all think they're boxers then at that stage. And, some of the premises didn't want to show the fight. Now, I don't know was that because it was super expensive or what, but from speaking to some of the staff, they were saying the reason is that they didn't want.
You know what happens? They've seen it in the past.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah. Just in relation to there was a taxi driver came to the Guards' assistance on Saturday night too. I don't want to mention who it was, but thanks a million to that taxi driver.
Right. So, I mean, don't want to get too deep into it, but I mean, is there an issue there as well then? Read between the lines, maybe respect for the direction from Guards?
Yeah, always, Greg, but unfortunately, the level of intoxication, the message doesn't always get through, and. Listen, the majority of people, the 99% of people went out there were themselves disgusted by what they saw as well, Yeah,
all right. You don't want the town getting a reputation for that. It could happen anywhere and probably did in other places, but
absolutely,
certainly something we want to see less of. Okay, listen, thank you very much for that. That's Garda Niall Maguire. That was the Community Garda information item. It's back with you on the programme next Tuesday, and will be available on the Garda Síochána Facebook page a little later on this afternoon. Okay, we'll be back with more after these.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features, delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union.
So you're struggling with your mobile connection?
Yes, I've tried everything.
Have you tried walking in a circle, standing on a chair, shouting instead of speaking?
This is ridiculous.
Best I can do for you, I'm afraid.
Let me be your hero.
Fear not, Super Helpful Mobile has got you covered. With 99% coverage, staying connected has never been easier when you join Tesco Mobile. This is Supermarket Mobile. Tesco Mobile. Every little helps. 99% population coverage. Visit tescomobile.ie/service-information.
At McGee's.ie, you can create gallery quality art on canvas from your favourite photo, direct from your phone, laptop or PC. Simply upload your favourite picture and have it printed on canvas, transformed into gallery quality art for as little as $44.95. Click and collect or have it delivered to your door ready to hang. Big pics, small prices. At McGee's Chemist, Letterkenny. See mcgees.ie.
Cup of Tea Festival Ardra, the greatest little big festival in Ireland, April 29th to May 2nd. This year honouring world-renowned accordion player Dermot Byrne at a special concert on Friday the 29th in the Nesbitt Arms. Dermot will also do a masterclass on accordion at the School of Music, while Breed Harper will have a masterclass on fiddle. A special event to acknowledge the contribution of the Campbells will take place at the Beehive. The Cup of Tea Festival Ardra, May Bank Holiday Weekend. For details, see ardra.ie.
I'm Rachel, a cancer survivor, letting you know that Relay for Life takes place on Saturday and Sunday, 28th and 29th of May this year. Why not get behind a participating team or come along to the event at the ATU campus in Letterkenny? See Facebook or contact relayforlifedonegal@gmail.com for more information. Relay for Life, celebrating cancer survivors and supporting the fight against cancer.
This ad is kindly sponsored by Divers Hyundai, Canal Road, Letterkenny.
Okay, you are very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. Once again, thank you to Niall. Some of your comments here talking about ghost fires. It seems to be the same people who can be seen burning rubbish outside their homes. Why do some people think it's okay for them to burn rubbish and not for others? They might not think it's any harm for others to do it. There are a lot of people were offered housing waiting for years. There's a lot of people were an offered house waiting for years. Okay. As a guidance counsellor for over 20 years ago, I was encouraging girls to look at engineering as a career path. If memory serves me correctly, the engineer who designed the extension to the ATU back then was female. From Facebook, the reason that our politicians can suddenly come up with solutions to house Ukrainian refugees is because they would do anything to appease their EU masters. But when back in Ireland, the ordinary Irish citizen doesn't really matter because they are merely a hindrance and nothing can be gained by helping them. I mean, like, if it is like that, surely there would be a great appetite for our leaders, in inverted commas, to go to Europe and say, hey, we've solved the housing crisis. You know, look at us, we're great. Pat on our backs. I don't know. I think it's will. I don't think there is any political string pulling or any higher power. I actually think it is just a will to fix these problems. Letterkenny traffic is a disaster. Surely Gardaí could aid ease of traffic at choke points, and help keep traffic moving at busier times and cancel if diverted routes at the best of times. The town is a disaster, but this is mad. I mean, why should it be up to the Gardaí? They're not traffic wardens as well. Like, I don't know. I have no insight into what Gardaí think, but there are traffic management plans there. There are contractors there. There's multi-millions of euro available. The Gardaí are out doing their work. Why should they be, traffic management? I'm not saying they're refusing to do it. I don't know if they're out there or not, but, it's not up to them to fix the problems that shouldn't be there or should be kept to as much of a minimum as is possible. Okay, my apologies for those of you waiting on the bingo numbers. I take one day off and I forget how everything runs. Here are the bingo numbers. Good luck if you are playing today.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Tuesday the 26th of April. You're playing on the brown sheet. The reference number is S2. It's game number 17. The numbers are 74, 44, 83, 32, 3, 23, 13, 82, 72, and finally 90. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features, delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union.
Get the Irish Daily Star today for your free 12-page Punchestown Festival pullout with all the top tipsters in our stable ready to get you first past the post all week. The Irish Daily Star. Number 1 for racing, number 1 for you.
Are you ready?
Yes, Chris.
Question for £1 million is, what do Crawford Tiles do? Is it A, tiles, B, wooden flooring, C, bathroom suites, D, 5-day bathroom refits?
All 4.
You've just won £1 million! Well, not really. After taxes, you lose a bunch of money, but hey, whatever. Crawford Tiles, Castlefin, 07491 43942.
I'm Stephanie Preisner, one of thousands of autistic people in Ireland, everyone experiencing life and autism in our own unique way. Unfortunately, many of the things connecting us are the barriers we face every day. Barriers most people don't face and so don't even see. Barriers to a proper education. Barriers to employment, barriers in society that leave autistic people isolated and left out. Help us remove these barriers and give autistic people the same chance. Donate at asiam.ie.
The CFC Interior Stock Disposal Sale is now on. Due to overstock, an incredible £1.5 million worth of stock must go. Don't miss our highest ever stock discount on selected ranges across all departments. The Stock Disposal Sale at CFC Interiors Derry, Cookstown and Abbey Centre.
Okay, we welcome onto the programme now Mickey. Good morning to you, Mickey.
Morning, Greg. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you, Mickey? You well?
I'm not doing too bad. I'm at work here, but I'm just on a wee break, so...
Okay, well, I appreciate you taking the time. You are just back from Ukraine. Why did you go over, Mickey, to begin with? Obviously, if it's not personal.
No, it's... well, originally, as we all did, we all seen what was happening over there, so I just more or less took it on myself to see if I could actually do anything. So what I did was I contacted a doctor that's over there, Elena, and I said to Elena, look, if I head out to Ukraine, what is there anything that I could bring out to you that you might need? So she gave me a list of stuff that they needed, and actually it's not so much clothes that they were looking for. It was more medical supplies and food. They'd no food at the borders. So I loaded up the car with some food, basically rice, pasta, dried food, and I drove all the way to Ukraine and delivered it off.
What did your friends and family think of that?
Originally, they thought, "Are you really going to do this?" But what they got behind me, all my friends and family got behind me then, so it really enabled me then while I was out there to buy another 2 carloads of food and a van load of food, and this was all delivered to Foca Vistu Foundation out there.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're basically something like Stendhal will be in the northwest here, so they deliver all the food to the border checkpoints, the 2 hospitals in Lviv, and they actually deliver food as far away as Chernobyl. So they take the food across the border, it goes to another warehouse, and then the warehouse then distributes it to people who need the food.
And were you able to, did you get as far as the border, or did you go into Ukraine, Mickey?
No, I was in Ukraine 3 times. So I was at all 3 borders. I visited a couple of schools, I visited a couple of spas, because I was out along with doctors.
Yeah.
So we had Swiss doctors, American doctors, Irish doctors, all volunteering to help. So what happens is, or what is happening is, the people who are put out from East Ukraine get put up in accommodation in West Ukraine where it's safer. So all the schools are being used to house all these people, basically, and they've been in there for over a month.
And then there's an overflow, obviously, then crosses into the particularly into Poland and beyond, presumably.
There is. See, some people don't actually want to leave.
Yeah.
Some people haven't got passports to get through the Ukraine border. There's just a big backlog, and there's also a backlog of Syrian refugees, believe it or not, that are trying to get into Europe, via the back door, if you like, and they've got caught in the border now too. So they're all in the woods. They can't get across the border now either. So there's really, you just have to see it.
Now, obviously, you were in the west of Ukraine. Other than the humanitarian fallout, the people, did you get a sense of the war when you were there?
Well, you can't help but notice, the tank traps, the Sangers, basically the empty tank carriers passing by in the border. You see all that. It's.
Was it surreal? Was it like,
what they recommend is when you go across the border, and I still have it on my phone, there's an app, an air raid app. So you download this app off Google Play, right? So if there's an air raid, your phone goes off, they warn you to take shelter. You know, that's the sort of stuff that you're working with, like.
Because it's relatively close.
Oh, it is
you know, to drive, and next thing you know, you've an air raid app on your phone. I mean, it brings it home, not literally, but you know, I think you'd get a sense, would you, that this could happen anywhere, really?
It could happen anywhere, and there's people coming in from the buses, you know, from Odessa and places to get there. Quite literally, we'd nothing but a shopping bag, you know, and still dusty, you know, because they just had to just get up and go. And these are the people that you're meeting on the border. You know, so I was helping these people across the border, these poor people, like.
Yeah, and in that process, you befriended one family in particular, I think, did you?
Yeah, I did actually. Myself and 3 doctors and a translator were going around the schools, and what the doctors were doing was they're trying to assess. Obviously, there's a lot of old people and people who are just haven't had any medical care, so while they were looking after the old people, myself and a translator, we brought some toys, books, games, and we were entertaining the children. So while I was entertaining, building a jigsaw puzzle, basically, it was young Cuddy on the floor of a school with 50 mattresses lying around the place. I got talking to her mother, and her mother spoke very good English, you know, so we got talking. I said, look, here's my number. I said, try and contact me. I said, we'll see if we can get you out, you know. So at this minute in time, I've got them as far as Warsaw.
Yeah.
So they're in Warsaw right now, and they're flying to Dublin on the 28th.
Now, they had to leave, I think, particularly the elderly family behind them, whether they couldn't practically leave or perhaps didn't. Why would they want to leave their own country or forced out of it?
Well, that's true too. There's some people, they're very careful now. The Ukrainians are being very careful because you need a biometric passport to get across the border. Because some Russians are trying to get across the border using normal Ukrainian passports that don't have the biometrics on it. So they're very, very critical on who you let across now. However, just depends what border checkpoint you go to. The Medica border checkpoint is the one that you can go to in a train. You might remember that's the one with the wee boys walking across with a teddy bear. You remember that one on TV? That one's really, really busy, but it seems to be they're a lot more easygoing when they let people across, you know, but it's really, really hectic there.
Yeah, why would Russians be, do they have ulterior motives, or are they literally themselves trying to flee Russia?
Just themselves trying to flee.
Yeah. Because their lives have changed dramatically as well. So this couple, Larissa, she's got a degree in law. Her husband's a software app developer. Their life has just completely changed. They're running their own business in
that's right.
Lviv, isn't that correct?
Oh, that's it. These people had to leave. I mean, if somebody says to you, you've got an hour to pack a suitcase, what are you going to bring with you? You know, you've got your flat screen TV, you've got your car, you've got your bike, you know, you've got all these ancillaries that you and I would associate with normal life, and you have to leave that all behind. You know, what you need is your clothes that are on your back, a pair of shoes, you know, and your phone and a charger and some shaving stuff, and that's what you can carry, and that's what you leave, and everything else is left behind you.
Now, you're looking to see if there's anyone out there that might be able to house these people. People might say, well, sure, you're in Greysteel, there's no houses around there. It's actually simply not possible. Legally wise, so you're trying to sort them out in the northwest in Donegal. So what are you? What is the basis of your, not the basis, but what is your appeal today, Mickey?
Well, what it is, there's a lovely girl called Grace Kennedy. She's from Galway, and Grace is doing her sterling job all by herself. She's managed to rehouse over 200 families. She's like a one-stop shop. You know, she'll organise the flights, organise the accommodation, give you the right information, and then she'll match up the right amount of people, you know, the right families to the right houses. So maybe further down the line, if somebody needs to go to school, or if somebody has a particular skill in that area, then she would try and match them up, you know. So Grace and I have been talking, and we're trying to get this family a house somewhere, basically anywhere that has got somewhere access to a school, you know, because we've got a 9-year-old, and I could videos this 9-year-old playing judo. Like, she's won medals, like, you know, she'd be a great GA player at some stage, I'd imagine, if she gets over here. And her mother and father had to leave all that business behind her. So I am looking for somebody in the Inishowen area, and the reason I want Inishowen or Donegal or somewhere close to me in Greysteel, so I can still stay in touch with these people and help them out as much as I can. and the next following year, the year after. So if somebody has a house a 3-bedroom house somewhere in Inishowen that has access for schooling for their child, and we'll concentrate on getting one of the two of these, Lursa or her husband, passing the driving test so they can be mobile themselves. So that's all. Now they've got an elderly mother and father who are still in Ukraine, but the family decided to come on first. So that's why I sort of need a 3-bedroom house, because they will be coming over at some stage. I'm working on that. That's a bit in a long finger right now. I've got a wee bit more on my plate to work out. But if I get the house to these people first, that'll be brilliant.
And Mickey, listen, I can't ignore the elephant in the room. As you'd be aware, there's already a huge backlog in terms of people seeking permanent housing in Donegal, the micro crisis in Inishowen and what's going down the line in that regard. How do you square that circle? Because it's people who want us to do as much as we can for these people fleeing an awful situation. I think sometimes people feel guilty for saying, "Well, hold on a sec, we've a really big problem here already."
You know what, Greg? That's a great question. That is a great question. And even listening to news today, all of this happening in Ireland now is actually eventually, get the Irish government up going, we really need to stand up and do something here, not just for Inishowen, for the Mica crisis, but for the whole of Ireland. They've been sitting back for years and they haven't built enough social housing. They haven't addressed the real problem. And there's money down there. I mean, there's people coming on investing in houses, and it's so expensive down south that it's ruling out the normal people so you can get somewhere for you to stay. Now, as regards to the Mica, that should be 100% redress, and I'm looking forward to see how the government is not going to allow that to happen. But this crisis in Ukraine, these people, this is here and now. I unfortunately can't help. I can't drive to Palestine to bring people back. I can't work in Lebanon. I was fortunate enough to go out and see from my own eyes what's happening in Ukraine, so I can only do.
I mean, it's kind of held a mirror up to all of us, hasn't it, in a way? And I think we're still working through that, Mickey, aren't we? Like, I remember at the start of this, and I was just trying to be honest, that this felt, I don't know, it felt more relatable, but it felt bad that should be the case. But we're working through all of that. I mean, some of that's really quite human, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It is. I'll just tell you a wee story just before we go. I was helping this old woman across the border. Basically, she got off this bus along with all the people. So I was standing, and most people can get off the bus, and it's quite a long wooden tunnel before you get to the medical. The doctors were the doctors I was working with, and then they've got a soup kitchen there that's been put up by locals, local Ukrainians. So she was last off the bus, and obviously because she could hardly really amble across, so I went over and I got 2 plastic bags, quite literally 2 green plastic bags that you would see in an off-licence, that type of bag. That's all she had, and I helped her through the tunnels about 50 metres, and she was talking to me in Ukrainian. I was just nodding away, just nodding away, pretending to understand what she was saying. But eventually, when we got to the other side, I called the translator over and said, "Look, you could translate what that woman's saying there. She obviously needs something," and that she was hungry, right? So we got her around, we got her soup, we got her bread, and all the rest of it. And then she called the translator over again, and the translator says, "Look, she wants to give you something." And I says, "What does she want to give me?" She said, "Look, she just wants to thank you for carrying bags through." And she reached under this bag, right, and pulled out a jar of pickles. Out of all the things that she brought with her, she was giving me a jar of pickles to say thank you for helping her down that thing.
All right.
Just amazing.
It just goes to show. We've got your number here, Mickey. If anyone wants to contact us that thinks they could help you out. I don't know if it's a long shot or not. I really don't know. But either way, if we get into contact, we'll make sure to put they in contact with you.
Do Greg, and what I'll do is if I hang on whenever me and you finish chatting, I want to give you Grace's number as well.
Well, I'll get Caroline to contact. We're just having a slight issue in terms of that, but I'll get Caroline to get in touch with you, and we'll sort that out. Thanks, Mickey.
Listen, Greg, thank you very much for your time.
Take care of yourself. All right, bye-bye. 08660 25,000 from the north or outside the Republic. 003538660 25,000. That is our WhatsApp, and that is our text number. The Ukrainians that are unable to get to the UK are ending up here. These people have grown up in cities and will not be happy in rural Ireland. It is a massive problem. Ireland cannot cope with the influx, and we are not what Ukrainians are looking for. Britain need to open up and start taking people in. Well, listen, Britain whether they do or don't, and they do need to do their bit. You know, Britain's it's got rural areas, it's got built-up areas, the same as here. If we are to understand what is happening in certain parts of Ukraine in terms of like the constant bombardment, a situation whereby you do not know if you will live or die, I don't think really then we have the capacity to sort of go, oh, well, you know, rural versus urban. This is, as far as I'm aware, a life and death situation. A caller says, fantastic that Elon Musk is opening up freedom of speech again and will put an end to the cancel culture. I am delighted. I just wonder what freedom of speech is nowadays. Like, is it freedom of speech to be able to say anything that you want, regardless of how it might upset or hurt people? Is it to organise rallies against certain things? You know, maybe people might think the world is too progressive. Is it, you know, it could end up being a platform of hate. I don't know. In any direction, by the way, left, right, up, down. I'm not on about any particular groups. I just freedom of speech. Like what does, like, Piers Morgan has is starting a new show about freedom of speech, and GB News did the same thing. But all it is just saying the opposite of what's said at the moment. Like, it doesn't add anything to it. You've got people on one channel saying one thing, people on another channel saying another, and I have my right to say whatever I want, but it doesn't achieve anything. Then what happens is people of a certain mindset will watch one TV show, and people of a certain mindset will watch another, and, you know, it doesn't progress us as a people. People might feel they have a voice, and that's fine, but what happens is you try and gather up more and more and more people to cancel out those that disagree with you. That's the road we seem to be going in, and that doesn't sound very pretty to me, but anyway. It's the role of Garda Síochána to divert, regulate and control traffic. I regulated 24 lanes coming at me on Connolly Bridge, Dublin 2, all in weather, hail, rain and snow. Excellent. I appreciate your input, but long term, if, let's just say, there was something happening that there wasn't proper planning, and I'm not talking about the 4 lanes road there, the Gardaí can't be there to pick up the pieces. There has to be a planning approach to that, surely. But I take your point, and it sounds like you're speaking from experience. The lack of tackling the Mica issue was first blamed on Brexit, then COVID, now Ukraine, all blame from this Fianna Fáil Fine Gael Green government. Many Ukrainians have been used to higher standards of living than we have in Donegal. They are not going to accept being treated as charity cases or live in what they regard as bog standard conditions. It's up to the Irish government and local councils to raise their game and provide suitable resources. But again, what is suitable? I think there has to be a level of expectation. If you are fleeing a war and you're fleeing into a country that already has a housing crisis, your level of expectation is that accommodation has to be, managed, I think. Okay, let's take a break.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Join EirGrid, the operator of the National Electricity Grid, on May the 4th at the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny, and May the 5th at the Abbey Hotel, Donegal Town, for the EirGrid Energy Citizens Roadshow. These roadshows will provide information about home energy efficiency upgrades, retrofitting grants, community microgeneration schemes, and the future of energy in Donegal. To register for the roadshows, visit airgrid.ie/shaping. EirGrid, delivering a cleaner energy future.
There's amazing deals every week at Watson Hire in Letterkenny. Great specials in tools, hardware and homeware. If you're a tradesperson or you're doing a one-off job, you'll find everything from power tools to hand tools and paint to work clothing. For great weekly deals and a great selection, visit Watson Hire at Kiltoy, Letterkenny. For more information, visit the Facebook page or see watsonhire.ie.
Are you looking for truly independent financial advice? John F. Lowery Financial Services provides impartial guidance on pensions, investments, savings, deposits and protection, so we can help you prepare and provide for all stages of life. Serving the Northwest for more than 35 years, we are a family-run business and award-winning broker. At John F. Lowery Financial Services, our business is your financial peace of mind. To arrange a personal consultation, visit jfl.ie or call 9124 002. John F. Lowery and Associates Limited, trading as John F. Lowery Financial Services, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why The Euro Millions jackpot is an estimated €135 million. Play responsibly in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Now flying to 19 destinations this summer with 7 days car parking from just €30 when you book online. Ireland West Airport. You're flying.
Okie dokie, largely dry this morning with good sunny spells towards the afternoon, though cloud will bubble up along with well scattered showers, becoming more isolated towards the evening. Highest temperatures of 12 to 14 degrees in light to moderate east to south east breezes. I just want to mention that the Gemma McHale cycle will take place on Sunday the 1st of May. It's from Mahayarn Centre. The race starts at 10 a.m. sharp. Registration is from 9 a.m. It's not for the faint of hearted. 35 miles, 56k. Spot prizes on the day. Further details, you can contact Kieran on, we have a number here, 04817 468 451, but I wouldn't expect you to be able to jot that down. All money raised will go towards local charities. Refreshments served before and after the cycle as well. So that is on the 1st of May from the Ahayarn Centre. Okay, we've still another busy hour on the show. Stay right where you are. We'll stay across all the big stories, the Twitter sale. We've got musical guests, all that kind of stuff. Don't go anywhere. At 11 o'clock, though, time for a news update. Good morning, Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The Taoiseach says it will be next year before any effects of the proposed turf ban are felt. The issue is up for debate in the Dáil this evening, with Sinn Féin calling on the government to scrap the ban on the commercial sale of turf this September. The Environment Minister Eamon Ryan is looking to shore up support for the ban by meeting members of Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil this evening. Donegal Deputy Joe McHugh says he will be making Minister Ryan aware of the realities facing people on the ground when he meets with him. Donegal Garda has described scenes in Letterkenny on Saturday night as horrific following a major sporting event. A number of fights are believed to have broken out in the Main Street area following the broadcasting of the Fury White fight. As a result, Gardaí are warning people of the dangers of one-punch assaults. Investigations are ongoing into a hit and run in Letterkenny on Sunday night last. A car exiting Larkins Lane was struck by an oncoming blue BMW travelling in the wrong direction on the Pierce Road. The BMW failed to remain at the scene. The Health Minister is rejecting suggestions that he is refusing to answer questions on the secondment of Tony Holohan. Stephen Donnelly says there is no question that he will not appear before any Oireachtas committee on the issue. A man has been taken to hospital after being assaulted in Buncrana over the weekend. Between 2:05 and 2:10 on Saturday morning, the man was set upon by another man in the Railway Road area. He managed to make his way towards St Mary's Road, where he became unwell and sought help. The fire service and local community have been praised for bringing a gorse fire under control in West Donegal. The fire broke out in the Crawley area yesterday morning, close to a number of properties. Locals were first on the scene and the blaze was eventually brought under control with the assistance of the fire service. And an exhibition of archives related to the treaty is coming to Donegal. The Treaty 1921, Records from the Archives exhibition, will open at Donegal County Museum in Letterkenny on Thursday, May the 5th. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Okay, Michaela, thank you very much indeed. Back talking about that Twitter sale after these messages.
Text 086 60 25,000. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
When your new smart meter arrives, it's going to change everything about how you use electricity. And Electric Ireland is ready to help you enjoy it all. From choosing your own billing date to saying goodbye to estimated bills and taking more control over your usage, you'll be able to make better energy choices for you and for Ireland. So the better it'll be for everyone. Search Electric Ireland smart meters today. Electric Ireland. We're brighter together.
Sport is at the heart of every community, and so is Special Olympics. Every day, volunteers help people with an intellectual disability to experience joy through sport. The Special Olympics Annual Collection Day takes place on Friday 29th of April. Please give what you can to our bucket collectors on Friday 29th of April or donate through your Revolut app. Thank you.
Hear that? It's wonderful, isn't it? The sound of appreciation, of love, of gratitude and joy. Yeah, let's hear it for our ears. Love your ears. Book a free hearing test at hiddenhearing.ie. Your hearing is our expertise.
For all your training needs, Northwest Forestry Services Training Department Ballybuffet offer a wide range of courses from training bodies such as NPTC City and Guilds, QQI, LADRA and ABA International. Courses include all land-based services such as chainsaw, tree climbing and rescue, pesticides, working in heights and ATV training. Other courses offered include first aid responder, manual handling and building safety, to name but a few. For a full list of training courses and availability, contact Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet on 074 9132033.
And you welcome back. We welcome on to the programme now Elaine Burke, editor at siliconrepublic.com. Good morning to you, Elaine. Thanks for joining us today.
Good morning.
It's good to have you with us. Right, a couple of things to talk about. First, we will talk about the confirmation that Twitter is selling the platform to billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk. It's in a deal valued at $44 billion. Now, this guy's got so much money. Months or years ago, someone asked him simply why he didn't buy Twitter if he wanted to change it so much, we've had issues with it, and he replied on Twitter, yeah, why not? And here we are now. He's buying it. What does this mean, do you think, for Twitter as a platform?
Well, we don't know just yet. There's a lot of uncertainty about what's going to happen. But in the last week or so, where Musk has been very vocal about what he plans to do with Twitter, before he even released the deal, he had already acquired a lot of shares in the company and became kind of a more powerful investor in the platform. And he was talking about things like, he talked about adding an edit button, which is something that's been talked about for a very long time. He is now saying things like he wants to clear the platform of bots, which is not something that Twitter has not tried to do. So I don't know what his solution is there to try and fix that problem. He wants it to be this kind of digital town square, is what he envisages of it. But there's a lot of questions about what Elon Musk means by that as well. I mean, he is going to be a private entrepreneur owning a media platform that services millions of users worldwide. So is it just going to be to Elon Musk's taste, or is it actually going to cater to those millions of users?
Yeah, but what is it like? I don't know what he means by that, because social media, all social media is the same, really. I don't think we engage on any of it in any meaningful way, and you end up with followers or friends that eventually are like-minded. So yes, everyone's on the space, but it's not like they're interacting with each other and improving anything. I'm not sure anyone is capable anymore of changing their mind. If their mind made up, and that's it. So it's a platform for everyone, but I don't see how it in any way progresses society.
Yeah, and Elon Musk's account itself is actually quite a good example of that. He has about 83 million followers on Twitter, and it's he will have his detractors, and he says that they're still welcome on the platform. But you see, anytime he tweets anything, he'll have a lot of fans and a lot of support for things that he says. So he lives in a bit of an echo chamber on his Twitter.
And if someone disagrees with him, there's 70 million people that just jump on them and shut them down.
Or even Elon himself, he is known to be quite insulting to people. He has accused people of being a paedophile when they've not agreed with him, and just completely unfounded accusations that he'll throw out there. He can be quite immature for a man who is now the world's richest person by a long, long distance.
I don't get it, because we've seen how quickly social media that we thought would be there forever disappears. Bebo and the usual examples. But Twitter, if Katy Perry or Beyonce, and this is only in the world of celebrity, or Justin Bieber or Taylor Swift, if they want to speak to their fans, they're not doing it on Twitter anyway. I just don't feel it's like in a growth stage. What is it going to be? Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin arguing on Twitter? Like what? I just don't know where it's going, to be honest. I see it going in a different direction.
Well, it's interesting to see someone's willing to spend $44 billion on a company that's not actually seen as you said, as growing as substantially as the likes of like a TikTok platform, or one that has really cracked the nature of advertising and driving revenue on its platform. Like Twitter's not famously done well in those areas. So it does seem like a bit like a billionaire just buying his favorite toy. It doesn't seem like it's going to be, world changing or anything like that. I think he's just a big fan of Twitter. He wants to take control of it, and he has the capacity to do so and make it his own.
Yeah, and how can you question him, because he's the world's richest man? How could you say, what are you doing? You're throwing your money away. But clearly there's a strategy there or something. I don't see. I just see people move very quickly. People move very quickly from one thing to the next. Even Facebook is having to reinvent itself. I just don't see. I would be interested. Like, an edit button is fine. Like, I mean, he made his announcement, and then you have the likes of Tommy Robinson instantly opening accounts, Britain First opening accounts, and that's fine, free speech, that's it, they're great, but as if that's some sort of a victory that they're on Twitter. I'll never see their posts.
Yeah, and like, people can take the measures to follow the people that they like and create their own echo chambers on these platforms. And like you said yourself, the likes of Instagram, which is really growing in popularity, that's where a lot of the celebrities have gone now. That's where they're really connecting with their audiences. A lot of younger celebrities are going to TikTok. So you do wonder, like, who are the influencers left on Twitter? But there are some, like, there's a lot of media people on Twitter, and there's a lot of politicians on Twitter. So it's interesting to see the dynamics there, the way those people are going to react to this, because they pontificate a lot on Twitter.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think a lot of them use it. They're overestimating their opinion. They think their opinion is such, and I'm amongst them, I'm sure, where they think, right, I've got something to say and the world deserves to hear it. Regular people who don't have that, they're not there. They're having fun on TikTok or on Instagram.
Yeah. And I think they've gone to those platforms because Twitter has become just a bit unfun. Like, I mean, there is a lot of toxicity on the platform, but even if you take out that element, which is a huge problem, it's also just not a whole lot of fun anymore. It has become a place of breaking news, and the world's not a very, very happy place in terms of breaking news at the moment. And people are then defecting to the likes of Instagram to look at pretty pictures, or TikTok to look at some funny dances, because I think they need a bit of a break from all of that. Yeah. Twitter is just this hose pipe of bad news and bad opinions a lot of the time.
It drags you down, it drains you, and people, will say, right, I've something to post, and they'll go, where shall I post it? No, it's too happy for Twitter. That'll go on the Instagram. Or, you know what I mean? Or I want to give out about a company, right, I'll go to Twitter, because that's where you go and have a rant.
Yeah, and it is the bad opinion machine. And I do think sometimes people should probably think, like, you might have an opinion on something and that's fine, but, like, do you have to broadcast it? Because someone's already said it, probably, especially when it's a big news story and everyone wants to share their opinion on it. I just find that really tiring. I tend to avoid Twitter on those days when there's a big story breaking, because I just know everyone's going to have the same opinion on it anyway.
Yeah, and I do think certainly for even maybe in journalism, it's a great source of information. Lots of journalists are on it, but really they're sucking from it. I'm not sure how much they're actually, contributing. Some brilliantly, others not. So we don't know where it's going. It's definitely going to go through. It's going to become a private company. I don't know what that says about free speech or whatever, or where it's going. I mean, it is very easy for an individual with that level of influence. I mean, we'd have to really trust him not to, in some way, abuse that influence, because he has the ultimate power.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, it's really funny that this has been done in the context coming from Elon Musk's side, to say that this is about some sort of a democratic movement, when really he is a private entrepreneur taking over a massive platform and will make it in his own image. I think it does seem like all of his goals and aims all seem to be things that annoy him. Like, it doesn't seem to be about any user but Elon Musk.
Yeah, and just 44 billion. I mean, that is the type of money that genuinely could bring major countries, their population, out of poverty, that could, with plenty of change to spare, resolve the housing crisis in the United States, and we know how big that is. I mean, it's obscene, but it's his money. Right, okay, thanks for that. Now, the Digital Service Act. This is the EU's strict new rules for online content. I don't know what Elon might think of this. Maybe he might feel it's anti-free speech. I don't know. I just get a feeling that these new things come in and nothing ever comes of it. Maybe this one might be different, Elaine?
I think this could be different. This could be as significant as the introduction of GDPR, which I think everyone was aware of when that came about. Everyone got the emails about their privacy. Everyone now clicks.
All happens now is, with that is, I now accept every cookie, everything, anything they want. Okay, don't read it. Like, maybe before they were like prying a little bit. Now, every time I go onto a website, I give them access to absolutely everything, I believe, when I click OK. But anyway, that's probably just my own experience of it. But anyway,
I think I'm a bit more cautious on it, but I just know too much.
But I don't know, but a lot of people, ironically, they browse the internet on incognito on a private browser. So every single time, I'm sure there's workarounds, but every single time you have to go through that process. But I suppose with the sites that you trust them. But anyway.
Yeah, when you're on a known and trusted site, I wouldn't worry too much about it. It's kind of when you're browsing somewhere a little bit unknown, maybe be a bit more cautious. But to bring it back to the Digital Services Act, it's interesting that this has come about at the time that Elon Musk is trying to take over a social media platform that has a lot of user-generated content on it, because the Digital Services Act is going to make sure that these big tech platforms, especially the ones with really high numbers, are taking responsibility for the content that they're hosting. And it is going to change the way content moderation is tackled. They're going to have to not just leave it to bots and a small team. They're going to really have to have a handle on this. They're going to have to prove that they are doing their level best to moderate content on their platforms, and that they're addressing illegal content, but also content that is deemed harmful. So it's a really, really broad scope of content that's being covered here. So you're talking about things ranging from hate speech and incitement to terrorism and illegal products to things that can just incite harm among a group of individuals.
Do you think this will be across the board? Because I don't know, would Telegram, for example, fall into this sphere? Because it's a public platform, but kind of isn't. And I think an awful lot of people who want to share whatever they want to share are finding themselves on Telegram. Another maybe even darker, not to say it's dark space, but you know what I'm on about, even harder to regulate. I just wonder, is this just moving people around the place?
Yeah, the people bring up Telegram and stuff like that because that's an end-to-end encrypted service as well. And sure, WhatsApp is end-to-end encrypted too, which means that the service themselves don't really have eyes on what you're doing and what you're sharing between your messages. But the Digital Services Act is very, very broad. It's not a social media act. This is about all digital services. So even online marketplaces like Amazon, definitely messaging apps and things like that, anything really that is dealing in content that could have illegal activity, and it will be covered by this act. And I think that what that means is that they just need to prove that they're making an effort to ensure that there's no illegal activity happening on their services, and services like Telegram need to do that while preserving privacy and security as well. But what the kind of things that they really need to be looking out for would be child sexual abuse material, which on those encrypted networks, they really do need to have protections in place to monitor that stuff. And even Apple is working on some technology that can scan images on device, so it won't be happening in the cloud. So it means that it preserves the privacy, scans images for what might be suspected child sexual abuse imagery, and raise flags around that. So there's lots of people working on some really clever technology that preserves privacy but can actually protect people as well.
What do you think the buy-in might be from these companies? Because big fines are issued, not every day literally, but how do we get the sense that they're buying into this, that the industry is prepared to work to try and as a whole to come up to resolve some of this stuff? Because I don't think anyone wants a platform where images of child sexual abuse could be available or accessed.
Absolutely. No one wants to be responsible for that happening on their platform. And actually the act also makes sure that they have to be responsible and accountable, but they won't be liable if they find illegal material on their account, because that's a bit of a paradox it creates there as well. If I report this, am I responsible for it and actually liable for it? So they've solved that paradox. And I think it's fair to say that the EU really has wielded an influence on and shapes technology the way we deal with today. Like the cookie notices that we mentioned earlier, that's because of legislation that comes out of the EU. Google is even changing how it does its analytics and how it really powers a lot of back-end stuff on the internet that a lot of people who build websites would be very aware of, but these are things that are in the background and maybe the everyday user's not aware of. But these are really shaping how these technologists think about how they're managing data, and are they doing it responsibly? Are they doing it in a privacy-preserving way?
It also allows for, I suppose you could say, the control of content in a situation like the COVID pandemic, presumably the Ukrainian war, or the war on Ukraine. It's a slippery slope in that regard, though, isn't it? That you have a big bloc effectively dictating what information people can access. No doubt, if it's images of abuse or anything, as I say, I think everyone's on the same page. But if someone in Europe or a collective of leaders goes, you know what, we don't like the fact there's a little bit of sympathy for Russia here, or maybe the conversation is, more open to the events that may have contributed to this happening, or, opposing voices to the likes of the COVID pandemic or our reaction to it. I mean, that doesn't sound great to me, to be honest with you.
Well, I think they have put in provisions for any kind of crisis scenario, but they do have a time limit on those provisions. So I think that they can enact kind of emergency legislation if there is something like a public health issue that they want to make sure there's no disinformation getting out to people on, or if there's a war situation, there's no propaganda getting out to people that's misinforming them.
Yes, but you see, the problem I have with that, and this is not necessary for you and me to tease out, but we are exposed to propaganda. You watch the news here, it's labelled as something else, but we're getting pretty much one side and one narrative. I mean, what I'm trying to get at here is who judges what is propaganda. What's being proposed here might be something that we've criticised Putin for example, that he only tells the Russian people that Europe is bad, that he only tells them that he is making gains and successes. On the other side, that's precisely what we are being subjected to by the media.
Yeah, no, it is a fair point, and it's not an easy job to do, but I think what you're going to see is not necessarily that they will dictate what's good and what's bad. I think it's more that platforms need to be shown to make an effort to get rid of stuff that's explicitly harmful. Like, I mean, for example, during the COVID-19 pandemic, people who were promoting fake cures of COVID-19 and that kind of stuff, that's quite dangerous and quite explicitly dangerous as well.
Yeah, okay. And funny enough, I stumbled on, I was checking something out in Telegram, stumbled on some bleach concoction that was said to cure and prevent people, and people going, "Oh, this is fantastic! I'm going to make this as soon as I get home." Remarkable stuff, really. Listen, thank you for all of your time and your knowledge, Elaine. I appreciate it greatly.
Thanks very much.
All right, take care of yourself. That is Elaine Burke, editor at siliconerepublic.com. 086 60 25,000. Your WhatsApps and texts, or give us a call on 07491 25,000.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
This is your guide to smart glasses. Smart glasses often look like regular glasses, and some of them have built-in cameras. Even if you don't wear smart glasses, it's helpful to know what it looks like when someone who is wearing them is taking a photo or video. The person wearing smart glasses usually has to take an action, such as tapping the capture button to activate the camera. When the smart glasses are recording, you'll see an LED light on the frame. So now you know a bit more about smart glasses.
A message from Meta and Essilor Luxottica.
Hey, I'm home. Honey? Hi, love.
Hi, love.
I just got in. Where are you?
I'm behind the shower curtain in the attic bathroom.
You're behind the shower curtain in the attic bathroom.
Your kids found the sweets. Have fun getting them in bed. Love you. Bye.
Right.
Connect in every corner of your home with our enhanced coverage technology. Vodafone Super Wi-Fi, now with Wi-Fi calling. Together we can.
Subject to eligibility, activation and limitations with Vodafone Broadband. Install fee may apply. See vodafone.ie/super Wi-Fi.
See the great new collection of AquaClean suites now at McGinley's Furniture in Letterkenny. AquaClean is a unique fabric treatment that allows you to clean stains using only water, and these Irish-made suites can be made to measure. Also see McGinley's huge range of corner groups, recliners and leather suites. Transform your house into the home of your dreams at McGinley's Furniture on the Joe Boner Link Road, Letterkenny, and at mcginleysfurniture.com.
Get your weekly shop at M&S. Check out remarkable value with over 100 everyday products at really surprising prices, like pasta for just 50 cents, or fresh market specials, seasonal veg, all at 50 cents. Plus, we've lowered the prices on the products we know you love to buy, from our traceable lean Irish mince beef to rich tea biscuits. So pop in today and enjoy great quality at prices you love, with all these ways to save at M&S Food. Subject to availability, see in store for details.
Okie doke, welcome back to the programme. Right, okay, our next guest on it is Kevin, and a few people have taken issue, I think, with me saying it's not necessarily the guard's job to direct traffic. I mean, maybe in an emergency situation, but I don't know. Kevin, anyway, I'm as far out as the old lighthouse, am I?
Well, what you did actually say was that it was not the guard's job to do traffic control.
For roadworks?
No, well, you didn't mention roadworks.
But that's the context of it, Kevin. It's, in other words, there's huge delays because of how roadworks have been organised, the traffic plan that's in place, and people go, well, where are the guards? But I mean, it should be down to the contractors and the.
But there's huge delays on the main street, and where's the traffic control on the main street? And there's not just the four lanes now, it's everything. If there were no guards doing say the Donegal match out in the Donald Park, the guards do the traffic control on that.
Are they not paid for that though? Is there not the Donegal GEA?
But no, I don't think they are.
Okay.
But you take it. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but you take it. The big wagons we guard the traffic on. So it is in the remit for traffic control.
Yeah. I think I don't disagree with you. I think the point I was making is that this is not if they're doing enough other work to do and they're short enough staffed, right? That I think most people probably feel, whether they're right or wrong, they could look at how traffic works sometimes are being operated and says, this could be done in a more effective way to free up traffic.
Well, they could go out and tell the contractors that.
Mm.
The contractors would have to do what the guards tell them.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, if the guards want to put on different diversions here and there, that's grand. But for traffic control in any town and any place, it's the guards' remit to do it.
And you think they should be down there making sure that traffic's moving then as best as they possibly can?
Yeah, it's not a traffic warden's job.
You see, let's just think of it like this, though, right? Let's use the 4 lanes as an example. I think it's down towards the Dry Arch round. The Dry Arch roundabout, right, where there's traffic control down there, right? Like, I don't know what purpose up at the Polestar roundabout example could Gardaí, what role could they fulfil? Because it's not like they know what's going down at the end of the 4 lanes, so they can't hold the traffic from 3 roundabouts and send all the traffic out the Derry Road, because you've got guys, private contractors down at the other end controlling the traffic down there. Do you get me?
Oh, I get you, but there's also, you could have a guard down at that far end at the Dry Arch roundabout and communicating. We're going past the stage where the red flag and the green flag, which was the traffic control I was trained on, but
it probably did the job.
Sometimes it didn't, sometimes it didn't, and if you passed me and me had a red one up, it would have bounced to the back of your car.
I'd say you had to have exactly. You wouldn't see that now. You had to have a thick skin doing that job, Kevin.
But no, look, it was just a thing, and that it is in their remit.
Yeah, okay. And I appreciate that. As someone, listen, I'm sitting here waffling. You've been there and you know the situation, and I really appreciate and respect your point of view, Kevin.
You do.
Of course I do. I really do.
But
get me a cup of coffee or a pint and I'll sit and listen to you off the radio as well. I don't say anything that I don't genuinely believe. I actually appreciate it.
That would be an interesting evening.
Yeah, all right. Well, so let's make it happen. Kevin, thanks for that.
God bless you.
Good man. Take care of yourself. That's Kevin there, obviously with a history in traffic management. I love learning. Genuinely do. Right, Brooke Scullion is singing That's Rich at the Eurovision Song Contest. We're going to be speaking to Brooke. We'll hear her song as well. But what we'll do is we'll take a wee break and then we'll be back with
that. The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering mortgages with life cover provided at no additional cost. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Lidl's inflation-busting offers are helping families all across Ireland.
As a family of 5, I have seen huge changes in the savings. I see them every week. There's a great variety of products. Very pleased with it.
Inflation-busting offers at Lidl. More for you. Customers were paid a gratuity for their time.
With longer evenings, outdoor living is back, and there's great offers right now in garden furniture at Kelly Centra Letterkenny. Outdoor tables, chairs and benches at unbeatable prices. Also, portable barbecues, accessories and everything for grilling and chilling. Find all you need for outdoor entertainment at Kelly's award-winning Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
Bí goidid the airgrid obrihir na hangi national electras an Carolea the Vina Baltania and Austin and Clan Re Letter Cannon. agus ran cúgil lead a bhí na Baltaine an Austin an Abbey buileún an gáil, le haid seo bóthir an pobl maidir le funineh grid. Choirí na seón na bóthir seo álas ar foiil bhui uas gradaithe éfactúlaachta funineh tí, Joantas ar eistíe, scéman ar micro dhéana na pobl agus tóhaí an aniuh ingun an gáil. Fan clárad na seón na bóthir seo, tór cuairtear airgrid.ie/Tashi shipping. Airgrid ag stolthar funineh níos glenne don tóchaí.
Are you ready?
Yes, Chris.
Question for £1 million is, what do Crawford Tiles do? Is it A, tiles, B, wooden flooring, C, bathroom suites, D, 5-day bathroom refits?
All four.
You've just won £1 million! Well, not really. After taxes, you lose a bunch of money, but hey, whatever. Crawford Tiles, Castlefin, 07491 43942.
Okay, delighted to welcome on to the programme Derry, singer and winner of the Late Late Show Euro Song 2022 special, Brooke Scullion. Good morning to you, Brooke. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. What about yourself? Are you all excited for May?
Oh, it is such a weird concept to think that I'm going to represent my country in Italy.
Yeah.
Like it's amazing, and I've had a lot of time to practice and to sit and dwell and think on it. And I do feel like with all the rehearsing and stuff, I feel ready. I feel as ready as I'm going to be at this stage.
Yeah, but I mean, you probably wanted it to happen the night after the Late Late, did you? I mean, it seems like a long time has passed and still another week or two to go. Has it been like in purgatory? Do you not just want to get up there and knock it out the park, or are you welcoming the time to prepare?
No, absolutely not. I do not just want to go out there. It's so basically I did a Euro tour, which is part of the
right, okay, that'll take up your time.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Didn't know that.
It's a massive promo tour that you do to make make people more aware of your song in different countries. And the first one I did was Barcelona. And when I say I ran onto that stage, got terrified, nearly broke my ankle and then ran off again. It was just something I just was not used to. The people were screaming your song back at you, and I don't know, I wasn't prepared. But obviously then after that it got a bit easier and I got a bit better, and it just was a lot. I just needed the practice. So now it's definitely, it feels a lot safer where it's at, and I feel a lot more prepared before going.
Listen, it's a brilliant pop song. I think, you know, it doesn't matter what type of music you like. People should be able to recognise what is a good song, and it's clearly a good pop song. It's a bit Eurovision, but over Eurovision, if you know what I mean. And it should sail through the semis. I mean, but do you have... I'm not asking you to criticise the system, but it would be a travesty if you didn't get to perform on the main night with this song, I think, anyway.
Well, that's my main goal at the minute, get to the final, because it's been a very big struggle as of recently for Ireland to get to the big stage and to compete. I don't know. I feel like I've done everything that I can at this stage. I feel like I've targeted the countries that can vote for me. And what's really good, what's really, really good is that my semi-final on the 12th of May, the north of Ireland can vote because the UK are in the category, which is a real big help. But I am in a really, really tough category. Like semi-final 2, in my opinion, is far harder than semi-final 1, which is just part and parcel of it. Like I had no decision in that, but it's where it's meant to be at the minute. Yeah. And if it happen, it's going to happen.
And I know you're doing it for your country, but of course also, you know, you're a musician, it's your career as well. So it's an amazing platform for you, regardless of the outcome. You know, the further and the better you do, the better. But it's brilliant for you. Continues your journey, doesn't it?
Of course. Like I never would have gotten this opportunity to sing in all these amazing countries had I not have entered the competition. And it just gives me, you know, that bit more confidence as an artist to release the music that I've been sitting on for over a year, because I now feel like people know a bit more about me and they might even listen to it. Like, you know, so that's where I'm at. Like my main focus now, using this as much as I can, and then getting the music that I've had for ages out. And I just keep making more and more, and just it's about playing the game at the same time, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. What have you been able to do in terms of, you know, continue to write music? I think write on your own and write with others as well. I don't know. You haven't released anything since the Late Late, have you? Has that been a bit frustrating? Or are you happy to take your time and get the timing right and all of this stuff?
Well, the way we had it was if I wasn't successful on the Late Late, I would have released the music. But because I was successful, we need to give That's Rich all the attention that it deserves, and you don't want to saturate that with another release. So That's Rich is out, and I've been promoting that same song for the past few months. But what was cool was I played a gig in Belfast, and I played my new stuff, and the crowd received it like
Brilliant.
crazy.
Yeah.
So,
and when you can see them see the whites of their eyes, you know if it's working.
100%. That's where you get your validation from. You know if it's good or bad by the reception. But as soon as the Eurovision's over, my main focus then completely switches to my new music, my EP that's coming out.
Yeah. What style is that coming out? Is it more pop stuff or?
Well, this is the thing. So That's Rich was the first song I ever wrote. So very fun, very playful. Nothing really is too touched on in terms of like personal issues and that. And I don't really ever delve too much. Like it's always relatable for everyone. But my songwriting ability got so much better and better through each song. And I'm really proud of the stuff that's coming out. And I played it for people. I just gave them my AirPods and was like, just listen to this. And they were like, is this you?
Yeah.
Like it's very different to That's Rich, but it's also in the same kind of level in terms of, yes, it's a pop ballad or alt pop or whatever you want to call it, but they're a lot more impressive in terms of the depth and the creation of them.
Well, that's it, and you'll have even more eyes and ears on you for you to say, right, you enjoyed that, but this is all of me here in terms of the variety and what have you. Obviously, your granny from Ramelton was one of the stars of the show of the Late Late appearance. It's funny how the throwaway stuff often ends up being what people latch onto. It's crazy, isn't it? If you knew what it was, marketing would be so easy, wouldn't it? It's just the random stuff almost.
Well, what happened was my granny isn't from Ramelton, but she has this thing about the priest from Ramelton.
Yes, sorry. I know that. I was watching you. Yeah, I get it.
No, but I was talking so much that I just kept saying the wrong thing and the wrong thing and the wrong thing. And what's funny is my daddy actually took my granny up to Ramelton to meet the priest, and he was sleeping when the show was on, and he was like, that was the first one I've missed in months. And all of his friends were ringing him being like, you need to see this.
Yeah.
So he's going to be watching. I'm on again this Friday on the Late Late Show, so he's going to be watching, and I'll give him a wee shout out on there.
Brilliant stuff. And I don't want to give anything away because it would ruin the fun of it. But presumably you've done a lot of work now in terms of the staging and the choreography of it. I thought it was pretty good what you did in the Late Late Show. Are you going to scale that up, go with what's working, or can you reveal anything in that regard?
Well, the Late Late Show was really we didn't have much time to prepare for that, and also didn't want to waste a lot of resources because we didn't know if I was going to get there or not. So now that we have the full team, everyone is involved. Obviously, it has escalated massively in terms of elevation. We started it was a slumber party theme on the Late Late Show, and we just really taken that concept and gave it a new lease of life. Yeah. And it's really going to be just really smart. The performance is going to be really smart, with a lot of eye catching. It's going to be good for the audience in the stadium and also good for the people on home watching through camera angles. So
yeah, and it's energy, isn't it? It's relating that the energy and what the message of the song and get out there in a visual way.
Yeah, of course.
All Definitely. Right. Do you feel now that you're approaching now the next stage of your career? Obviously, you were on The Voice and you've done this. You're finished with the judging stuff, obviously, after the Eurovision. Yeah. I presume now at this stage saying, right, this is it. I've got the platform, I've got the profile, I've got the music. After Eurovision, I'm on to the next thing.
Yeah, 100%. This was, Eurovision was nearly the ultimatum for me. That's Rich was the tester. I was like, look, if this doesn't go well and people don't seem to like what I'm making, then I just mustn't be made for this area of media. Or, it was 2 years where I wasn't creating anything. I was 2 years working in estate agents, and I didn't lose hope, but I just was more rational, and I was more realistic about things, thinking if this isn't the genre for me, then maybe I would pursue acting or I would pursue something else, because you can create and create and create as much as you want, but when people don't want to listen to it, it does kill something certain inside of you. So I just, I was like, maybe this isn't where my heart is gonna like excel. So I definitely am giving this 150% at the minute, and I'm gonna continue that for as long as people want to listen to me.
All right, and in terms of, listen, you do great stuff on social media, interacting with your fans, letting them see what you're at. But I think, in terms of levels, you probably do also need, a promotional company, record label, that type of stuff behind it. Is that in place, or are there offers out there, or what's the story in terms of a label? Pardon my ignorance, Brooke, if you've already been signed to something at this point.
So basically what is, I'm not signed at all, but my EP has been signed or licensed to a record label, V2, which are an independent label in Netherlands. So basically I own the music, but they'll be like licensing it out for me and helping me along the way. But after that, hopefully we'll approach different labels and see hopefully labels will approach me.
Yeah.
But, you just don't know. Luck of the draw. You could be signed to a massive label and something wouldn't do well, or you could be signed to a really small label and it could do really well.
Explodes, yeah. It's scary, it's exciting, it's all that stuff, isn't it?
All of that, yep.
Come here, how do you prepare yourself for these performances that you've been doing? You mentioned in Barcelona and the other cities, and for what's coming up. I mean, how do you prepare yourself for going out stage and giving it your all? I'd be like, will I remember the words? Will I remember the dance steps? But that's a problem I have that would stop me doing something. Thankfully, you clearly don't. So what do you do to prepare yourself for a performance?
I know the song like the back of my hand and could probably sing it backwards, but I know I'll not forget the words ever. The dancing is the bit that I'm like, okay, there's more potential for something to go wrong here in terms of me falling. But I just know that if I'm having a good time, that'll transpire and people watching will have a good time too.
Yep.
So it's more visualization.
And I think that's why you won the late thing. No disrespect to anyone there, but it was authentic. It was clear that there were people there having fun, and I think that's what, because these things often, what should happen doesn't happen. But it was great to see. It was clearly the best song, the best performance. It was good to see it play out. And I just hope, I think you deserve, and I think we deserve as a country, and I think the song deserves to be on the last night as well, if there's justice.
I really, really hope.
All right, listen, Brooke, the very, very best of luck, and not just for the Eurovision, but in your career and success and everything. I hope everything that's due to you comes for you and more. And we really appreciate your time this morning.
No, thank you so much. Thank you for playing so much.
No, it's our pleasure. Thank you very much indeed. That is Brooke there. She's going to be performing That's Rich in the semi-finals on May 12th.
Take your mirror off the wall. Ain't you getting bored?
That is Brooke Scullion. We've been drawn in the second semi-final for this year's Eurovision on Thursday the 12th of May. And the grand final takes place on Saturday the 14th of May. And of course, we really hope Brooke is in that.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
There's amazing deals every week at Watson Hire in Letterkenny. Great specials in tools, hardware and homeware. If you're a tradesperson or you're doing a one-off job, you'll find everything from power tools to hand tools and paint to work clothing. For great weekly deals and a great selection, visit Watson Hire at Kiltoy, Letterkenny. For more information, visit the Facebook page or see watsonhire.ie.
The award-winning Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Udor offers the most advanced skincare treatments for men and women, treating conditions such as acne, skin tags, rosacea and scarring. As a qualified aesthetics practitioner, Mary Ferry offers a range of anti-aging treatments including dermal fillers, thread lifts, Profilo, skin boosters, microneedling and LED light therapy. Hair and makeup also available. Download the Genesis Salon app today or call 07495 325 75.
Sport is at the heart of every community, and so is Special Olympics. Every day, volunteers help people with an intellectual disability to experience joy through sport. The Special Olympics Annual Collection Day takes place on Friday 29th of April. Please give what you can to our bucket collectors on Friday 29th of April or donate through your Revolut app. Thank you.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Gatwick's back. You can now fly daily to London Gatwick with Aer Lingus, the perfect gateway to explore South London. Ireland West Airport, your fly.
Now, as we head into the afternoon, cloud will develop along with well-scattered showers, becoming more isolated, though, towards the evening. Temperatures today, 12 to 14 degrees in light to moderate east to southeast breezes. So as we've been touching on today and on previous programmes, I mean, we've been forced into a situation, I think we've been forced, or it feels like we have, into a situation where it's Irish homeless versus Ukrainian homeless. Those who think, oh, look after our own first before we look after others. This is not of the public's doing. The situation has been set out as such that people are, and to some extent justifiably, feeling those emotions. And then obviously there are other groups that will jump on that feeling out there and weaponise it for their own purposes. Finian O'Donnell is of the Donegal Homeless and Housing Coalition. He's a member of it. Good morning, Finian.
Good morning, Greg. Thanks for inviting me on.
No, it's good to have you on. You believe that Ukrainian refugees are being used, I think is the word you used, or they're being used by the government. How so?
Yes, to be honest, I think this is a situation here where there's just it's the old game of divide and conquer of the working class once again, and I think Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael are doing this just to divide the working class and separate the votes, because we all know that the general election is coming along, and they're planning to do this, and they will twist it around, and anybody who says that, you know, kicks up a fuss about this here or voices their opinions on this here, they will all be branded as racist. And this is the ongoing thing. The good old divide and conquer between Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. It's been going on. We in the Donegal Homeless and Housing Coalition, we've been saying it for years, that funds are there, money is there. There's derelict houses all throughout Letterkenny, throughout Donegal, throughout the country. There's derelict land that can be bought and through compulsory purchase. There's social housing that can be built. The money is there. We were told time and time again that the money just isn't there, that the land isn't there, that the houses aren't there to be developed. And now all of a sudden, there's some money left now, there's some money around to build houses. Now, I can understand the anger and frustration of working people, of working class people who are saying that, yes, we need to house our own first. I can understand that point of view. But of course, I would plead with them that the enemy is not the Ukrainian refugee fleeing a war-torn country. It's the politicians who are putting policies in place, or actually not putting policies in place to build or not to build houses.
If this is a strategy, what is the what do would you mentioned Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael? What do they believe the outcome of it to be? How could this strategy in any way be beneficial to this current government?
Yeah. So anytime there's a left-wing movement that goes on the rise, there's always a right-wing movement that kind of follows it. So the the extreme right wing, and what suits the type of neoliberalism such as Fine Gael, it suits them that the far right would be on the rise, and it suits them better because they don't seem so bad, and they will always come across as the middle ground, and that's why this is a good opportunity for them. They're using this as a ploy. This is what I believe now personally, is that they're using this to break up the working class of the votes. Now they come up to a general election, will get swayed and broken up, so they'll come up on top.
But who's likely then with this strategy? And listen, I'm not trying to appoint you as a Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil strategist, but I'm just trying to figure out then.
I wouldn't take the job. I wouldn't take it.
No, but who vote? Like what in your view? What would your mindset then have to be to vote for Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil off the back of this strategy? Do you get where I'm coming from? Who is their voter?
It's not so much voting for the two parties. It's more that the votes will be broken up. That more right wingers will be getting the votes, and then more left wing people will be getting the votes. Obviously, now we see the rise of Sinn Féin. So what we see now is maybe they're trying to break up the working class Sinn Féin vote as well. So that'll go back. Maybe they'll get it'll go towards more of a right wing, traditionalist kind of Republican groups, or maybe parties as well. So it's not so much gaining votes, it's more breaking up the votes that are already out there that's going against them.
And I think people have never been as... I get you. And listen, it's an opinion. This is not necessarily a right or a wrong answer. I just wanted to get a sense of what you thought.
I understand. I know what you're saying, but if you look at it logically, it's, and it seems almost conspiratorial, in a sense when you're saying it. But this type of tactics have been going on for long before Fianna Fáil, and probably long after it as well. I mean, we're talking about divide and conquer here. This has been going on since Roman times, and Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael are well in tune with it as well. Of course, they will come out and they'll say that it's all nonsense and it's not planning to do it. You know what I mean?
Well, listen,
it's very, very funny that when there's talk of a general election coming up, when Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael have always come out and says we just don't have the money. All of a sudden now they have the money for Ukrainian refugees. And I'll say this again, it's not the refugee fleeing the war-torn country that you have to be mad at. It's the people who are putting in the policies that are not putting in the policies either way.
I think it's important, and whatever anyone's point of view is, because there's no point sort of, and I'm not talking at you or about you, Finian, but Finian, I think what's important is that we, no, I wouldn't take you on. What's important is that if we want to think outside the box or think for ourselves, that we actually truly do it, that we don't think that we follow one other person's point of view because that means you're thinking outside the box because it's not one of the mainstream point of views. I think we have more access to information and knowledge than we ever had now. And I think truly free thinkers need to think about everything, consider all points of view, analyse themselves, don't leave it for someone else to do it for them, and to see what's going on. And hey, by the time they've finished that, they might go out and vote Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, and that's perfectly fine. But I think it's really important that people truly think for themselves. Would you agree?
I would absolutely agree. If I always say, don't take my word for it. If I'm debating somebody or talking with somebody, I would say, check it out themselves, because then they can get a better understanding on things as well. And on this point, I would always say here, look into it. Look into the policies of Fine Gael, of Fianna Fáil. Look into what they used, how they got into power and why they got into power.
But also the alternative. Look at the alternative. And I'm not just, the default here is not Sinn Féin, but those that are opposing what's happening now. There is a responsibility on them to propose and cost an alternative as well. That's
absolutely. Yeah,
and if we demand that, we might get a more nuanced political system.
Yes. Well, this has been the argument, especially on the left, about socialists like myself, that says you don't have the alternative. And when I come up with the alternative about money, such as raising corporation tax up to 14% instead of 12.5%, we put it up to 14.5%. We incremented 0.5% every year for corporations to do that. We'd still be the lowest. We still have the lowest corporation tax in Europe. with an English-speaking workforce and an obedient workforce at that as well. You could also abolish the Seanad in itself and reduce the wages of TDs. You know, we're talking tens of millions here every year with administration costs and everything. And once you say these sort of things, we also have to, nationalise our gas and other natural resources, pumping in billions every year. When I present this alternative about the cost, of course, this money could also be, pumped in to generate a national health service, and it could be also used to create to build social housing. And when you say that to somebody, you say that alternative to somebody, especially the economic alternative coming from a socialist, they seem to have some cognitive dissonance when it comes to this as well. And that's a major problem as well.
Because it takes money out of people like Elon Musk's pocket, and look at the influence that he wields currently and what is capable of wielding into the future. Right, I think it's an important. I really think it's a very important message that if we have anger or disagreement or whatever, that we direct it in the right direction. It doesn't matter it's Ukrainian refugees or Syrian refugees or wherever they may be coming from. People should look, and we need to look at the bigger picture. And wherever your opinion falls after that, that's fine. But you have to look at, if you're open-minded and think for yourself, you have to look at it all.
We have to be a bit open-minded, and it's easy to, I suppose it's easy for someone who's not, searching for a council house for years. You could have single-parent families.
Well, people, I understand the text.
If I could just finish this here point. Sorry. We could have, for example, you could have single-parent families. Now, I get calls from single mums as well, like in desperate situations, and they need to get a house. All they want to do is to house their children in a nice, safe, warm house. And when they see headlines like this, their automatic, assumption is, why are they? It's them that's the problem. But it's not them that's the problem. It's not a third time I'm going to say this. It's not the person fleeing that war-torn country, that ordinary working-class person coming to Ireland trying to make sure their children are okay and housed and sheltered. It's not them. It's the policies that are put in place by Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. And I would absolutely encourage everyone who's a regular voter of Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael to really look into what the policies are. And I know there's some people who are house owners and the housing crisis isn't really affecting them. But we have Micah families here in Donegal with Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael doing absolutely nothing about this. We are always on top of a housing crisis that's actually happening, going on with 10,000 people, 4,000 of them children as well. And now it's a slap in the face of working class people to say that you're not getting one, we're going to give it to these ones instead. And all of a sudden there's money all together to come up. And you can understand the anger and the frustration with somebody who doesn't really know politics, doesn't understand the political atmosphere, and they see with it just what's in front of them.
Yeah, but I respect and understand why you're talking towards voters of Fine Gael or Fianna Fáil or whomever. I'm not taking sides here, but also I think there's the biggest cohort of people out there listening are those that actually don't vote. They don't actually vote.
Yes.
Right. Listen.
That's why this is why this has been incremented, because it doesn't affect Fianna Fáil or Fine Gael, because working class people who are struggling to get by day to day don't vote.
Yeah. All right,
Finian. Especially don't vote Fianna Fáil or Fine Gael.
Thanks for your time. I appreciate it. Okay. Now the lines are open. We're going off air now. The lines are open. If you are a member or supporter of either of those two parties, by the way, you want to engage in a debate or put another alternative point of view across, please get in contact with us. Don't go what they on about there. Let us know. 086 60 25,000 WhatsApp or text. Let's have keep the conversation going. All different points of views and what have you. Right. That's where